to From Dial Square to Where. This is the Premier League prediction show. And as you can see, we've got some great guests with me today. Got one as well, just in a few minutes. But first off, Melvin, how are you, Melvin?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Very good. Looking forward to this.
Good.
Might be a few shots I might predict, but there we go.
And so welcome return for Jason. How are you, the Welsh Rabbit?
Hi, Paul, you right? Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good. Thank you. Very good. And thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have you with us tonight.
Pleasure, pal. Pleasure, pal.
How are you, mate? Can you hear me, Ryan?
I can hear you now. Yeah, a bit jumpy my end. Sorry. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. Very good. Thank you, mate. And it's the first appearance. I'm very, very honoured to have you, James Johnson. How are you, James? From the Purely Arsenal podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure. There's a slight delay from when your mouth's moving to the sound coming through. I feel like I'm in a war zone doing reporting, but I think we'll make it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm trying to lip read as well as listening here. So but I think we got it now. I think we got it.
If it carries on, I will change my mic because I'm using some new earbuds today, and I thought I'll give them a go. They seem to they were working all right, but if there's a problem, I will change them. So what we're going to go through is the last season's standings of the Premier League, and we're just going to give some predictions on how we think that these teams are going to end up this year. And we're not going to go. This is not kind of major analysis. We're going to have a bit of fun. Well, see what we can, especially when it comes to us, have a bit of fun with that, can't we? But we're going to say whether we think they're going to finish higher or lower than the last season. And obviously, when it comes to the newly promoted teams, we just have a general chat, see how they will fare in our opinion. I'm going to go through them. To start off with, our own club. Why not? Because we're first in the alphabet. We're top of the league, as far as that. So I'm going to go to you first, James, on this one. With regards to our we've got Gabriel come in. We've signed Pablo Marie, Cedric Suarez on a permanent. We've got George Lewis, but obviously he's at the under 23s. William. We've had three more under 23s, and then obviously brought back Danny Ceballos on loan. So far, how do you think that we're faring squad-wise? Do you think, James?
Squad-wise, yeah, I'm not overly worried at all, really. I have to admit we've had probably two of the most easiest games that you can get to start a season, which is quite rare for us. Normally we're worried straight away. But no, I'm fine. I think that there's two massive additions that we need to make. I said on my own channels and on podcasts that I think the goalkeeper would be done by Monday. It has been. And then I said that there should be one or two after Liverpool. So I'm still holding to that. I think this week a lot more are going to go out than come in, obviously. But by selling those players, we're going to progress. And then hopefully with those two signings, we'll go up that extra level that I think we need to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a few go out, but no sort of main ones so far. We've obviously, the big one really that went out was Emilio Martinez, as we know, which, depending on how you look at it, I think it's a shame, but there you go. I think it was a means to an end. And then we've had the major one, really, wage-wise, was Henrik Mkhitaryan, which I think was a big deal, really, getting rid of him. We've got a few more to go out. So, I'll go to you on this one, Jason. There's so many rumours about outgoings. How confident are you that we're going to get rid of the players that we all know that we need to get rid of before the end of the window?
I think most of them will go. I think the ones that Arteta wants to get rid of will go. I think the problem we got at the moment is who the fan base thinks should go, and who Arteta thinks should go are two different kettles of fish. You know, for me, you've got to get Torreira and Guendouzi. You've got to fire Guendouzi out of a cannon and get him out of the club as quickly as possible. But, you know, there were all these people expecting 40 million quid for him. He's a bang average kid with a big ego. You know, he's not worth what people value him at. And these are the problems with all the players at the moment. You know, you look at Holding, you look at Chambers, you look at Mustafi. There's a lot of injuries about the place. Are you going to get value for money there? Torreira, you know, the links with Atletico Madrid, you know, maybe part of a make weight in some way, shape or form with Partey, that could be interesting. Lacazette, you know, Lacazette's got 2 years on his deal. Does Lacazette have a future with us? Because he flatters to deceive all too often. You know, I know he's been asked to make to play a difficult role by Arteta, but you know, he took his goal well on Saturday, but he botched a couple of good opportunities on Saturday as well. So we got to wonder who Arteta wants out. Yet we are carrying far too many defenders, but the injuries to Mustafi, to Chambers could affect that. It's going to be interesting times. We need to get 3 or 4 out the door and bring in 2 midfielders. If we can get 3 or 4 out the door, if we get rid of Torreira and Guendouzi, and any 2 defenders, and then bring in Partey and Ouar, and whoever, it doesn't really matter who. As long as the guys Arteta wants, then I'm happy. But yeah, I'm confident. You know, everybody's panicking at the moment. There's a lot of time left. You there, pal? Can you hear me, Andrew? So, Andrew? Can't hear you, pal?
You're muted.
You're muted, Andrew.
You're on mute, Andrew. You're on mute, pal.
Right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. Bloody hell. Okay, that's good. That's good.
It's a major crisis, Andrew. I believe the helicopter is flying over now.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, bloody hell.
We're going to go over to Melvin for traffic and travel. Melvin, what's the road?
Clear now. Ever since Andrew's come, it's very clear.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, that's good. Right, that's the last I'm going to start using these flashy, stupid gadgets. I'll stick to my old cheap, crappy headphones, I think, moving forward. Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I heard everything that you said. So that's one good thing. I totally agree. I mean, I think that if we can get, you know, those 2 players, Partey and Aouar, it is going to be transformational. Personally, but we'll have to see. Melvin, I'll come to you on this one next time. I mean, do you think that it's going to have to be a case of selling all these players that we have to in order to buy these players, or do you think if there's any chance whatsoever that our billionaire owners will actually buy these players and take the chance that we will sell those players eventually so that he gets his money back? Do you think he would sort of front the money up?
Number one, I don't think he will front the money up. Number 2, I think we have to sell these players. Or I want us to sell these players because 3 or 4 of those players I don't want to see wear an Arsenal shirt again if we're going to go anywhere. One guy you didn't mention that you said defenders. I suppose he comes under that category. Is Colo. I just cannot abide watching him play anymore. I've said it before, and I want to repeat saying it. He could save a lot of energy if he faced the Arsenal goal for 90 minutes. We'll stop him from turning and giving the ball back. He can do it in all one movement. And it's so frustrating when he's got 10 or 15 yards to play in. He won't take that chance. He seems to me, even though he's playing under Arteta, and he's the only one I reckon that hasn't improved under Arteta.
Mm.
And that's saying something. Everyone else and worse players than him to start with have improved. Not him. He's been the same actually. I would love to, because the thing is, when you have poor players in your squad, but you say, don't worry, we've got plenty in front of them, those poor players sometimes or mostly put the shirt on again. And that's when you're under pressure. With the squad we've got at the moment, we can't afford to have a passenger plus him. We can have him by himself, perhaps, but we've got other players that are just about okay. And you can't afford to have him as a passenger in the same team. So I hope we sell the players. There's 4 or 5, I won't go through them now, but I'd love to get rid of, not just to raise a little bit of money to get others in, but just to make sure we don't play those type of players in our team again.
Yeah. No, I mean, you had your hand up there, Chappers. What do you want to bring into that?
Well, I was going to say he actually makes a fairly decent passenger if he's driving an Ozil car, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy that you want in the front seat. That's all I'm saying, you know.
He'll be going backwards. He's got a front gear, though, isn't that car?
That is his best position, isn't it? Outside Ozil's car fighting, but
yeah, definitely. I think we'd actually do better if we just put one of the Arsenal shirts on a traffic cone and have him back there, you know, in the back 4 or back 5. I think he might get a bit more movement, to be personally honest. But Ryan,
I've got to be honest with you, boys. He's a bit of a scapegoat at the moment.
Well, yeah, I just don't.
You know, guys, he's a left wing back, yeah, and he's playing him as centre half. He's never been good with his feet. He's been an absolute disaster since Unai Emery came in and ruined him. Okay, he didn't have time on Saturday. You know, he was brought in last moment. Yeah, he was poor. He was poor. I'm not getting away from that. But at the moment, I just think we're like a pack of fucking dogs on him. And I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong, boys. I think we, you know, whether it be Xhaka, whether it be Mustafi, as a fan base, we pick on somebody and it's a witch hunt. And, you know, yeah, he was poor. Can't get away from that. Not going to defend his performance. But I think, you know, you're talking about a guy who was in the Bundesliga team of the season. I know it's a couple of seasons ago now. But none of these players are bad players. They're in a situation through mismanagement of the team by the people at this club. Now, Arteta's bringing it forward somewhat, but, you know, what do we, you know, not everybody's going to be like Mustafi, take the shit he's taken and then come back out with great performances. The mental strength it takes to do that, 60,000 people booing Xhaka. What the fuck do we expect? You know, if we're going to treat our players this way, they're all going to look and think, why should I fucking break my legs for these cunts? Because they're, you know, they don't give a shit about me. So, you know, I totally accept Melvin's point that he was poor on Saturday. You know, I totally accept it. But I think sooner or later, boys, we got to stop jumping on them. You know, the shit Ozil gets on social media. I don't understand what we think we're going to achieve by it.
No, I agree. But I think the good thing is that the people that brought in these players are no longer with the club. Because let's face it, Kolasinac should never have been bought in the first place for Arsenal because he's not that quality. But I'll get you with regards to the slating of the players. Just doesn't do anyone any favours. But he's not the sort of person we can move forward with. No, it's not his fault.
He was in the Bundesliga team of the season. And that's voted for by who? There's a lot of people who voted him in that.
Stevie Wonder probably, but I don't know. He must have been part of the panel. But I don't know. He's just not good enough for the club. And the good thing is that, like I said, the people that have bought these players are no longer with the club, and that we just need to move forward with our recruitment. Hopefully, because of the sort of players we're very strongly linked with, and it does show that we're starting to move towards bringing in the right type of player. I mean, we haven't heard from you yet, Ryan, on the subject, and I'll just get your overall thoughts to sort of finish off with regards to the going the incomings and the outgoings of Arsenal, and we can sort of have a look at where we think we're going to finish this season.
In terms of incomings and outgoings, I've been happy from what everything that's in terms of, especially incomings. I know we haven't finished our business yet, but I'm happy because, again, I've said this on my podcast. For once this summer, we're actually addressing the areas that need addressing. For years, for 10, 15 years, we've been saying we need a centre back, we need a new Vieira, this, that, and the other. What do we go and do? We buy a striker, we buy an attacking midfielder, we buy this. We're doing what Chelsea are now doing now, and buy all the attack in the world, hoping for the best, and what are the plastering over bang over midfield and defence. We could have the best defence in the world, but when you've got lots of Guendouzi through his positional awareness, it's absolutely diabolical. Our defence is exposed. Any defence will be exposed and look absolutely bang average. We need a Partey in there, along with Xhaka, along with your biases, and hopefully we get Hassan Aouar as well, to help out the defence, and also with Aouar, the creativity. That's the one thing that screamed out to us on Saturday night. We need creativity in our midfield. We lack it massively. And I think this guy can bring it to us. Hopefully we can get these two players over the line. And I think, as it stands, they could be the final pieces in the jigsaw for now to get us moving in the right direction. Because if we're doing all the right things, it's just we've got a couple more pieces to go. Do them, we go in the right direction. But also the outgoings, again, everyone's kicking off over Martinez, but it was either going to be him or Leno end of the day, by the sounds of it, because of COVID and what's happened in the world. One of them was going to have to go, and it happened to be him. But we've gone out and replaced him as well this evening with the guy from Ligue 1. But yeah, so I'm happy with. There's nothing I can really complain about in that sense. It's just what doesn't help to get some of these players out at the moment is the likes of Mesut Ozil coming out saying, "I'll decide when I leave," because he's got obviously 1 year left of his contract, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to decide, not the club, not no one else, me." And that's sort of mentality. It seems to pull off a certain other players.
I don't blame him for that, though. To be perfectly honest,
no, because
I can't. It's our fault, isn't it?
No, not at all. And I don't blame him at all for saying it. But then we see like Sir Basil, or whoever it was in El Nene a few weeks ago, they've said everything was agreed, but El Nene wouldn't take a wage cut. We've got bang average players on stupidly high wages, and it's making it so hard for this current setup at Arsenal with Edu, Arteta now to get these players off the books. These players are not getting the wages they're on. It's again the players' fault. It's like Ivan Gazidis and people that have run the show for the last 10 years.
Well, I think Arsene Wenger prophesied this years ago, didn't he? Saying that more and more players are going to be leaving on frees because they can get bigger wages at the end of the day, big signing on fees, and you're going to get more players just sitting out their contracts. And he's been proven right, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think that he was very good, Wenger, in seeing into the future.
Oh,
Shame he couldn't see that when Gazidis joined.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it's two different ways of looking at it, right? How our squad is now, and whether we think we're going to get another player in. One more thing I just want to quickly touch on, and I'll go to you on this one, Chappers, as well. One thing I can't quite make my mind up on is if we had to choose one out of Partey and Aouar, looking at the style of players they are, which one would actually have the most impact in the team right now? Because we can always see we've never had that guy to sit in, the big strong guy to sit in front of the defence, the type of, the Vieira replacement, if you like.
The destroyer.
But we're also crying out for creativity, someone that can carry the ball. So I can't make my mind up really who we need more. But which one would you think that we needed more out of the two?
Both of them. But if I had to choose, I suppose just looking at the display against West Ham on Saturday, You know, we were absolutely crying out for a bit of creativity in that final third, weren't we? And you know, that was exactly what we needed. We needed someone to be able to, you know, find the spaces for our strikers to run onto to decent balls, you know, and there's nobody doing that. So I mean, just on that display alone, I would probably say Awar. I mean, you know, there are other suggestions for that kind of player as well. You know, what's his face? See, I quite rate that Pellegrini lad. He's pretty good too. But you know, who's it? Leon want the full asking price for Awar. That might change. You know, it's the same thing with Partey. That might change as well. But at the moment, you've just got a massive game of chicken where nobody really knows what's going on. I mean, the thing is, with the Partey deal, I just cannot understand how nobody else can see the common sense in what should happen. As in, you know, they want Torreira, we want Partey. Why don't we talk about it?
Yeah, thank you.
At the negotiating table and see what we can do. I mean, you know, that's a radical idea, I know, but
It's too much common
it
sense.
might bear some fruit. You never know, mate. But no, for me, I think. I guess we need I mean, you know, we need both. We do need both. Xhaka has his limitations as a deep line midfielder. You know, he's not really very mobile enough. He's good. You know, he's a great passer of the ball, but it's always, you know, when he's on the turn and having to play towards his own goal, he's always playing catch up, and that's you know, quite a worry. You know, you want somebody who's a little bit more mobile in that area, really, and obviously Partey fits the bill. But yeah, but I think just in terms of the things that we need to create, it has to be Awar, or perhaps that lad from the West Country. Have you heard of him? Awar. Yeah, he's Forest Green Rovers, I think. Anyway.
Is he the one that drives the brand new combine harvester?
Oh, but yeah, it's in for me, I have to say. What do you think? What do you think?
I'm stuck because I think that we've got loads of talent up front in, you know, especially since we brought in William, and we've got, you know, all the, you know, we all know the players. We've also got someone like Emile Smith-Rowe we can chuck in the less important games, if you like, in the cups, etc. And I'm wondering whether if we brought in Partey, that would then be able to release the likes of Ceballos to move a bit more forward as well, and rather than having to sit so deep, because he can be quite a creative player as well on the ball.
Yeah.
But this is why I'm quite torn, to be perfectly honest. But I love the look of that. It's not like a really skillful play. Not that he isn't skillful, but he's not like you know, a flair type player. But he can carry the ball. He can actually pick the ball up, turn, and just run at players.
He can just make defenders shit their pants, you know.
But we've also got players that could do that, like Pepe, and you know, obviously Aubameyang, and we've got Willian now as well. And
I would say that they're not specialists in that particular position.
No, they're not. No. But Emile Smith-Rowe is, but he's a bit young, obviously, without experience.
I just think if we want something, I'm sorry to use this phrase, if we want something that is a bit more oven ready, that's going to hit the ground running, you know, from what I've been hearing anyway, is really just on the absolute cusp of kind of being able to realise his potential, you know. So
absolutely, he is.
I think that would probably be, for me anyway, that would probably be the preferable signing. But you know, both of them are happening, boys. Big Stan's going to put his hand in his pocket, isn't he?
Hope so. I really hope so. Now let's have a show of hands, I think, on this one. Who thinks we are going to finish higher than we did last season, which was clearly 8th? So we all think we're going to finish higher. Who out of us all thinks we have got a chance of finishing in the top 4?
Is that before we've signed these two players?
No, we've got to do a bit of we've got to do a bit of wishful thinking maybe. But I
Very
think we're
creative.
going to bring some players in. Yeah.
I think we're doing without.
Okay, if you say to me those 2 players are coming in, then I'd say top 4. But with the current lot,
Where would you think would finish in with the current lot?
5th.
Top 4.
But we're going to win the Europa League.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm confident of winning. I'm really confident of winning the Europa League as well. But
Same.
we could. I think, as it stands, we could probably just about scrape into the top 4 as long as we can work out a new way of playing against the bottom teams. Like we can't carry on playing like we did against West Ham. We've got the players to do it. I just think that we are hamstrung at the moment with the. We've still got so many. It's just typical Arsenal, isn't it? We've got so many centre backs. But we've got so many that are out and not available to play at the moment that it's just typical. And I think if you could get like a working back 4 out of what we've got, which I think if everyone's fit, he clearly could, then we can he can alter the way that we play in lots of games as well.
This is what I was going to say actually is. When you're talking about the likes of the top 4, obviously, at this present moment, you would say that it's difficult to catch Liverpool and Man City. So we find ourselves in this situation of scrapping it out with the likes of Chelsea and the likes of Chelsea and the likes of what's the other team called?
Man United.
Man United. And these are actually the 2 that I was going to say. I was going to particularly highlight on. And so the one thing that really absolutely stands out, clear as day, at the moment, is that our coach is streets ahead of their coaches. Right? Frank has spent all this money, and he hasn't got a clue what to do with them. Ollie's been. I was actually so surprised to hear that Ollie's been in management for 13 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
13 years.
That was for Aldi, I think, over in Norway. That was,
He was sub most of the time, wasn't he?
Again, I mean, they've not really spent any money either. But bearing in mind that this is Arteta's first season in charge of a club. Actually, what compared to what Ollie's doing and what Frank's doing, you can see what he's trying to do clear as day. It's absolutely clear as day. And maybe we haven't quite got the personnel at the moment to achieve that, or at least maybe they haven't quite learned what they need to do yet. But for me, I think that his coaching talent is going to be the difference that makes us finish above both of those teams this season.
That's how I think. I think Ole, I don't think they could even win a prize every time at the hooker duck thing or at the local fair under Ole. To be perfectly honest, I think they're going to struggle big time. But yeah, if we do bring in 1 or 2 of these targets, I think we got a nailed-on chance. I'm going to move on to Villa now because we could go on all day, which we clearly could as an Arsenal podcast about Arsenal. But I think Villa have actually done some good business as well. Did we know what the end result was? I haven't checked. Did they win tonight?
1-0.
They did. That's not a bad result, is it, against Sheffield United? But I think Matty Cash they brought in from Forest is a good buy. He looks like a real good right back. Ollie Watkins could be, but they've got a great goalkeeper now, in Martinez, as we know. He's going to make a big difference for them, and they've got that Bertrand Traore from Lyon as well. So I think they're going to have personally, I think they're going to have a better season than they did last year. And I think the biggest signing they've made is securing Grealish for another 5 years. I think that's a massive boost for them, isn't it? I'll go to you first on this one, James. What do you think about the incomings that they've made? Because they certainly needed them. I don't. They survived by the skin of their teeth. We kept them up last year, didn't we?
Yeah. Grealish signing for them is massive because he single-handedly can keep them up on his own. I mean, I did on my own channel. I did my Premier League predictions literally the week before the first game, and I put them in the bottom three. But I'm gonna have to revise. I'm gonna have to revise that now because I think with the signings they've made, they're definitely a lot safer than I thought they were going to be. I think Martinez tonight, I see he's already saved a penalty for him, so he's single-handedly trying to win them points like that. And also Traore is a very, very good winger from Lyon. I think desperately more than anything, they need to go as well as Ollie Watkins. I think they need another centre forward because they spent so much money on that Wesley last season, who was touted to be really, really good, big and strong, Brazilian. He was touted to be really special, a bit like Joe Linton going to Newcastle. When they initially got him, people were like, oh, bloody hell, this is a good signing for Newcastle. And they both just completely flopped. Like, they weren't at it at all. But no, considering what they've done, I think they're going to do a lot better than they did last year. But you say about the Grealish one, it's difficult because if you remember years and years ago, Liverpool got Suarez on a very, very big contract, like 1 week, and then 2 weeks later he was out the door. But they did that so that they put the clauses in to sell him for more money. And I'm telling you now, if Man United cannot get Jadon Sancho over the line because Borussia Dortmund won't budge, they will sign Jack Grealish from Aston Villa. They will panic and just go money, and they'll take Jack Grealish in. And Aston Villa will sell because instead of getting what was touted to be 55 to 60 million, they'll now get between 85 to 90 million for him. Because Man United will pay over the odds, just like they did last summer to get Harry Maguire.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's an interesting thought. I just think they'll end up paying the money that Borussia Dortmund wanted for Sancho right from the start. I think that's what they always do, isn't it? They always think, oh, we're not going to be held over a barrel, but in the end, you just end up paying it at the end.
Yeah, I think it's because they've said now that you had that, they gave them that time frame, didn't they? And they went, you've got to sign him within this window of 2 to 3 weeks, and if you don't, we're not discussing it with you anymore. And I think Borussia Dortmund, they were taking the mick out of them in tweets on their English account yesterday. Posting pictures of Sancho and Haaland together. They were going, look what pretty much a bullseye. Let's have a look.
Look what you could have had.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean,
speedboat.
I don't know. Dortmund's one of them clubs where they could easily go, okay, well, you can have him, and they'll find someone who plays, I don't know, like National League South for Canvey Island or something, and he'll be the next best player in the world. They're that kind of, I don't know what kind of scouting network they've got there, but they seem to just pluck people from anywhere and turn them into these worldies. So it's one of those, but I think they're going to stand firm and not let Sancho go. So yeah, Villa have got to try really hard with Grealish now.
I think that the way that the young lad, oh God, what's his name? His name's gone out of my head. That they got from Birmingham. Yes, Bellingham. I think they've been shocked by how good he is.
Yeah,
and
United flopped on getting him as well. They were after him for ages, and they messed all that up as well.
Yeah, I think they initially, when we got Martinelli, everyone thought that he was going to be having a season in the under 23s. And because of the way he just sort of took off, he was a first team player from the start. And I think they've got the same situation with Bellingham. So I think if they do get an offer of, what they wanted, 120 million euros for Sancho, I think they'll probably be more inclined to let him go now they've got Bellingham. But we'll have to wait and see, won't we? But Jason, what's your thoughts quickly on Villa? Do you Ollie Watkins has been a big gamble for them money-wise, but he was great for Brentford last season. Do you think he might take to the Premier League?
I've never seen the guy play, to be honest. I don't watch Brentford. It's a bit, goals are the things that's going to keep him up. If you look at the end of last season, the goals against, as I call them, was all pretty equal between that bottom five and bottom six. But it's scoring 40 goals, which is going to get you safety. Grealish is an important player for them. You look at his performance against us after lockdown, where I know we were poor, I know we were atrocious, but he was a bit of a talisman for them. He'll create the chances. If they can get a decent goal scorer who can knock in 15 to 20 goals, they'll be okay. I still think it's going to be tough for them. I think there's a bottom 7 who are all going to be scrapping it out, and I still think they're in there. You know, I genuinely don't see United paying anything over 55 million quid for Grealish, because Sancho's the wide player. They've got Greenwood. They're trying to get rid of Dan James now. They've got wide players, Rashford, etc. Martial can play out there. Van de Beek, Fernandes, Pogba. That midfield area is pretty stocked with them. If you're going to chuck another 60 million quid to sit on the bench, Woodward's out of a job. I don't understand it. I don't understand why they pay 120 million quid for Sancho. He's a great player, but is he bollocks worth 120 million quid? He's just not me. None of them are. But I don't know. I think they'll be okay this season. If Watkins does well for them, if he gets over 15 goals, they'll be up no problem.
So do we think, as a show of hands, that they will finish higher than they did last year, which was 17th? I think they will. I think that Luiz guy they've got is a pretty decent player that they got from Man City, isn't he, as well? Douglas Luiz. I think he played well today, but what I saw, I only saw a short clip, of the game, but yeah, he's a good player. So I think Ollie Watkins probably will be that guy who could possibly get around a dozen goals for them, and that will make a difference because none of their forwards scored probably more than about 5 between them last year, did they? I don't think last season. They were useless. But yeah, they seem to have targeted their signings a bit better this season rather. Now Brighton, I like Brighton. I think that they are a decent side, but I think it's pretty much split down the middle with people who think they're going to go down and people like me that think they might be doing all right. They play lovely football and they had a really good result at the weekend. Melvin, I'll go to you first on this one. Have you seen Brighton so far this season?
Saw a bit of them. I mean, they've had 2 strange games. They won away, good result yesterday, was it Newcastle? Saw a bit of that game. And then they got murdered by Chelsea.
That's not right though. The scoreline, I think, makes it look like it was they got a bit of a hiding, but they didn't at all. They actually played really well against Chelsea. But anyway, yeah, they're hit and miss. But yeah, what do you think about their signings? They brought in Lallana obviously as well, and they've actually made a signing. And which one was it? It's I don't know whether I can pronounce. Oh no, it's this one, Joel Veltman. There's a player called Joel Veltman who's from Ajax, a defender, and they got him for less than £1 million. They paid 900,000 for him, which is absolute. And I think he's 22, really cultured defender. But they got him so cheap because I think he had an ACL, and he put him out for quite a long time. And so they're taking a tiny bit of a risk on him, but I think he could be probably the one of the bargain of the season, to be honest, if he can get back to full fitness. But yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. I do apologise.
Right. I think that we haven't seen the centre half, so we know how good or bad he is, but I think that what you've got to put your faith in is the manager there. He took over when they're a right mess. He's now been with them another 12 months. He's buying a couple of his players that perhaps he wants. And I think he organises the team. A team like Brighton is very, like most teams, very important how they're organised because they haven't got the best players. And to get the best out of your players, you need them to be organised. That's why I think they will come higher than where they came last year. They came 15th last season. I see 3 or 4 places higher for them.
Yeah, I see. Ryan, what's your thoughts on them? What that young right back that they got from Chelsea. What a player he is.
So I didn't say my friend phoned me up before. He said we should just go after him, buy him. He said he's unbelievable.
Tariq Lamptey, he's really unlucky because we've got a wealth of right backs at the moment for England, don't we? But he looks like a right bargain. I mean, they paid £4 million for him. I mean, what a great signing that is.
Can be done, can't it? Can be done.
Yeah. So what do you think, Ryan, on Brighton? Have you seen them at all?
Yes, I've watched them. Yeah, as you said, I think the scoreline flattered Chelsea, to be honest, for the opening game of the season for them. But for most of that game, Brighton had the majority of the ball. They just had no killer. They didn't take their chances, and that took come back and bit them on the backside in the end. And that they've been playing good football. Don't get me wrong, but it's going to be consistency now. There's 2 games in against the teams in and around them when it's assuming don't get a lockdown and obviously things don't get all stopped, this, that, and the other.
Oh, don't keep saying that. Don't keep saying that. Bloody hell. I can't cope with that.
At least there's 6 of us in the group. There's only 6.
Yeah.
Oh dear, no. It's that consistency of them. They can put a consistent run together. They'll prove me wrong because I had them from one of my teams to go down this season because obviously last season that was their thing. They consistency. They're in and out. They'll turn up for one game and then they'll dip off the next game. They can then, if Graham Porter changes it this season, they actually put a proper consistent run together of results. And obviously they're going to lose games because, no disrespect, they are Brighton and they're going to lose games against the bigger, high-ranked teams like your Cities tonight and things like that. They could stay up. They could prove me wrong. But it's all about that consistency when it's teams in and around them. Not dropping silly points here and dropping silly goals here and there when they don't need to. When they dominate a game, kill the game.
Let's have a show of hands. Are they going to finish higher or lower than their last season's finish of 15th? I think they're probably going to finish around just a bit higher.
Good game. Higher. Good game.
They've got a good spine, Andrew. They've got a really, really good spine. If they keep Lewis Dunk as well, you got
Ben White.
You got Ben White. You got Ben White as
What
well.
a player.
Lamptey, Matt Ryan in goal. All right, he's a smaller type of goalkeeper, but he always seems to do well. Basuma, who got sent off at the weekend, he's an absolute bastard. He's a brilliant, tough tackling midfielder. And then you got Mopé and Connolly, who, okay, they're not at the top level just yet, but they're always both gonna score your goals as well. So
he scored a lovely goal, that Connolly, yesterday, the weekend, didn't he? Yeah, a really nice finish.
They've got a good little, nucleus of players in there. I mean, Lallana is an experienced player as well. So, like I said, they've got a good little spine in there. They'll be all right. They won't.
Yeah, I think so too. So next is Burnley. Now, this is a sort of an interesting one, really. They brought no players that I've ever heard of, if I'm completely honest. Will Norris, Mark Richter from Augsburg. Will Norris is from Wolves. Will Rickard on a free. Marcel Elva Fontaine from Reading. Connor Barrett from Leicester. Ismaila Diallo from Arsenal. They've let a load of players go. I think it's a big mistake letting Jeff Hendrick go on a free. I think he's a brilliant player, that not a brilliant player, but a brilliant signing for Newcastle. I think he's just what they needed. So let's go to you, Jason. The big thing is with Burnley is Sean Dyche. He is Burnley, isn't he? And I know that he's been having some arguments with the owners, etc. I think if anything happens to him, that's the end of Burnley, really, isn't it?
It doesn't look good, does it? Like you say, there's been a lot of furore in the background. People disagreeing on the way forward. Hendrick leaving on a free. That's a big loss for them. He's been talismanic.
Yeah, he's underrated midfielder, I think, for what he does.
He's in the middle of the park. He's somebody you love if he plays for a team, and you hate him if he plays a different team. He's not for quality or anything, but he's a decent Premier League player that you can rely on. And I look at, he's a decent defender. I think Tarkowski is maybe the most overrated centre-back in the Premier League. I think he's bang average. You can turn him, you can get under his skin, you can be horrible to him, and you can really play him. I think they go. I think there's teams that love to fight them. I think I don't see where. I just think they're on that dip now. You get it with teams like Bournemouth, Swansea, etc. They come up, they get that initial boost that adrenaline rush. They do well for a couple of seasons and then they start to dip. I think strike goes before the end of the season, and I think they go down.
You think they go down? Quite a big statement that is. Chappers, have you got any thoughts about how Brighton are going to fare Burnley are going to fare? Sorry, this season.
I've got more thoughts about what the bloody hell's going on with my camera, but I don't know what's happening. I don't know. I'll try and muddle on through just for a second. With Burnley, oh God, it's making. Can you hear all that noise? That's my camera.
Yeah. Turn your camera off, mate. Turn your camera off. Just have your voice, the audio.
That's better, isn't it? Seems to work. Okay.
Yeah.
The thing is with Burnley, I watched them play against Leicester the other night, and as you say, they don't seem to have brought anyone in, and they do seem to just rely on the fact that all of their players have traditional Burnley names. These are the sort of guys that Sean Dyche, puts them in a training session, and they have to sort of carry around a bucket of jelly eels in one hand and the fat grandmother on the other, at 5 o'clock in the fucking morning, because that's what we do, boys. And dodging strepsils. Talking of which, I couldn't find the strepsils.
Have a pint of cement for breakfast.
Look, I don't know what it is with Burnley. They just seem to be Teflon. They always just seem to escape relegation by the skin of their teeth, or even just manage to outperform all expectations that they have. So even though they were depleted, they still managed to score. Score against Leicester. They did. To be fair, they did make Leicester look better than they are. I think the other night. I didn't think Leicester were amazing, but I think Burnley could have done a bit better. But they still scored two goals against them, didn't they? But that's it with Burnley, isn't it? I don't think they'll get relegated. I think they probably won't get as good a finish as they did last season. But where did they finish last season?
10th.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They'll probably end up with 12th, 13th, 14th, maybe.
Yeah. Does anyone think that they're going to finish higher than 10th?
No.
If they do, they need their head checked, or they need to tell me who their drug dealer is.
Yeah. Spot on. I think they're going to just really struggle. I think this year they've lost. Well, they're weaker, I think, that they were last season. I don't think they'll go down. I think Sean Dyche has got enough in him as long as he stays to keep him up personally, but I can't see them finishing anywhere near 10th, if I'm completely honest. It moves us on to Chelsea. They've hardly brought anyone in, really, of any note, have they? We've got this some player called Timo Werner, Hakim Ziyech, Ben Chilwell, Malang Sarr, Thiago Silva, and Kai Havertz. They're all a bunch of nobodies, really, that they've brought in. But James, what do you think that Lampard's going to be able to get any kind of performance out of these sort of players?
Yeah, it's a tough. You look at their buys. Werner yesterday, he should have scored. He got 2-on-1, and then he just completely, his arsehole sort of dropped, and that was it. Really, he fluffed it, didn't he? But they've got enough there, Chelsea. I think. I feel that they're somehow, they're needlessly spending money on what they don't need. I think Ryan touched on it earlier, where they're just like, buy all the strikers, buy all the attacking players, and it's not going to work. You can clearly see Chelsea need a goalkeeper and they need a defender.
Yeah, obviously. It's like Arsenal of a few years ago, the last decade, isn't it? Basically.
Yeah. The goalkeeper yesterday, when you've got your goalkeeper giving assists to other teams, then you really are going to struggle. People were going on about Thiago's creativity for Liverpool. You've got to give Kepa what a pass to Mane. He was only 5 yards away as well, but it's a beautifully weighted pass into Mane. And I still think they're going to get top four, but I look at Lampard, and I think if you don't get your ideas together by about November time, you could be out the door. And
Yeah.
he's going to be the front runner to replace Southgate, because that's the sort of move that England would make.
I think
we've got a bunch of young players in England that are arguably the best. I'm sorry, Jason, if this bores you as a Welshman, but we've got arguably one of the best generations of English talent, and we're wasting them with a man who likes to play 3 defensive midfielders versus Denmark and Iceland.
Yeah,
we need someone that's going to get in there and lift these young boys up. And I mean, he had that transfer ban last year, and I know obviously that's been lifted now, and he's thrown these young players. You know, it's a bit like that bit in Toy Story where Andy throws Woody and goes, "I don't want to play with you anymore." You know, he throws Woody away. He's got Buzz now, or you know, he's got another. So it's a difficult one, but no, I still think Chelsea have got enough. And I mean, I think Havertz eventually probably will come good, but it's nice to laugh at him at the moment. I mean, they were saying yesterday, some of their fans, that they were better in the first half and that they played superb. I don't know what game you were watching, because
no, he's got Kai Havertz has got hair like one of those characters on the Fast Show that's like just comes out like that. You know?
Yeah.
But I can't see how they're going to gel under Frank Lampard. I really can't. And as far as Southgate goes, I can't stand the bloke. But I think that Sadio Mane has been studying how Eddie Nketiah plays, to be perfectly honest. I think he's got a lot of his skills from Eddie. You know, the closing down and nicking it off the goalkeeper and scoring. So I think he's on the right track there to being a decent scorer, Sadio Mane, if he keeps looking at Eddie. But yeah, Melvin, I'll come to you. I mean, do you think that they're going to finish in the top 4? Because I'm not certain. If Frank stays, I mean.
Well, I think Frank will stay for the time being. Obviously, as things as they are, I don't think they will because of Frank. And I think that if they sack Frank, which is very hypothetical, say December or whatever, it's probably too late for him anyway. No, I don't think they will, because you need to have, again, a manager is so important to a team, to lift the mood, to give them direction, to give them a bit of sense of how they should play and formulation. I don't think, listen, he's respected there as a player, but I think that he hasn't quite yet got it as a manager. I really do think that. And I think it showed up in the cup final against us. They had, in all fairness, the better players than us. And Arteta just outshone him completely. Had the 2 managers switched, Chelsea would have won the game in the final, I believe. So I don't think he's quite there yet. Hopefully he'll get there when he's an England manager, not Chelsea. But no, I don't think they will. I think there's no room for mistake now at Chelsea. He's had his free time. There is no room for mistake. The first bit of downturn you see, they'll have the fans will slightly get on his back, even though they love him. They will. And then once that happens, the players, if they lose respect for him or about his ability, you remember there's a lot of new players in that squad. They could just go, what have we got here? Because they don't know him very well. You know, so I think it could be okay, but I think the odds are that they're going to underperform this year, Chelsea.
Yeah, I can't disagree, if I'm honest with you, Jason. And right, I'll go to you, Jason, and quickly, just a quick one. Your thoughts on Chelsea?
I agree with Melvin. I think the biggest problem they need a spine to the team. You look at any good team, it's got a spine. I don't think they've got that. You know, you already had Mason Mount, Pulisic, etc. there. Okay. And then you've gone and thrown more attacking talent at it. Well, you know, what exactly are you going to do? How are you going to manage all these players? And then it's going to cause disruption there. You know, they've got some really good players. If they keep Kante and
Kovacic.
Yeah, he's on loan. He's still there, as far as I'm aware. Those two are brilliant, okay, and they'll keep you in games. But I think they lack a really decent spine. Kepa is an absolute shower. I don't understand how he's still there.
Well, they gave him like an 8-year contract or something ridiculous, didn't they?
Yeah, but he dropped out of his hands a contract, didn't he? He didn't sign it.
But you look at, they haven't built a defence. They got the boy Christensen. They got Ampadu, who's a constantly out on loan. These are really good centre halves. They need to stick with them and build on them. And I think a bit like us at times, we look to change things too often instead of building that team, building that squad. But I just don't think Frank's got it. I agree with what Melvin said. You look at the cup final, you change the managers and the different teams win. I think Arteta will work with what he's got. Frankie wants new toys, and it's not always new toys which are going to build you that squad.
No, I totally agree. Totally agree. Ryan, just one last. Have you got anything to add regards to Chelsea?
I saw this coming. I'll put them down. I said they ain't going to get top 4 anyway. I said they'll struggle to get fifth. They'll hang on to fifth by the skin of their teeth, in my opinion, just because they've had that. Because of the situation we're in, they've had no pre-season together, so the players they've brought in haven't had time to gel, and we're seeing that even against Brighton. Brighton, most of that game outplayed Chelsea with the likes of Kai Havertz, Werner. Werner looks lightweight. 2 games, I know, but he looks very lightweight for this league. And as you said, there's a lot of pressure now on Frank as well. If anything, he out of the top 6 teams, the normal top 6, he'll be the one that's under most pressure to perform now. And if not, he could be first out the door, but not far beyond Ollie.
I think that they're going to win games and they're going to look really good on occasion, despite Frank, if you know what I mean, because of the players they've got on the pitch. Because they've clearly got quality, and those players could go and win quite a few games because of that. But when it comes to building a team and a happy squad, good luck with that, mate, because I think there's going to be a massive load of egos there. One of you playing week in, week out, and ain't going to be able to. And all these youngsters he brought through, like Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham, they ain't going to play no more, are they?
No, so that's another thing. All them kids he said, I'm going to give it. I'm inheriting the kids this season for the future, and this, that, and the other. I knew as soon as the ban was over, I knew what was going to happen. Again, I said, as soon as that happens, they're going to spend the money, kids will be thrown out and do what they do. And look, they've loaned out the guy from Wales, can't remember his name, but he's loaned out, he's gone to Sheffield. Sheffield United. And they ain't none of them because they're still doing everything they've been punished for initially, they're still doing. And in the process, they're still buying these massive players, and they had to try to throw money at it, like they did back in the early 2000s when Roman first came in. Only this time, they've got the financial power of Man City to deal with, and the firepower and the knowledge of Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. And you got Arteta, and you got to throw Arteta into that occasion now because he's just coming to the job and this, that, and the other. I always say, look at the job Arteta's done with the same squad of players that Amy was doing just weeks beforehand.
It's no longer, especially in this financial climate, it's not good enough to be one of those managers like Mourinho. You have to go and buy players to improve your team. You have to be able to coach the players that you've got to become better players as well. And, that's what we've got now. We've got a coach that can actually do that. And, that's going to be the difference. He's got a football mind. He's not a sort of coach who, of course, he wants to strengthen his squad with some incoming players. But, you can see what he's done with the players that we had that already that were looking like they were going to get relegated in November. It's completely different chalk and cheese as far as the people we've got in charge goes. But let's have a quick vote on that then. Do you think that Chelsea will get top 4? Show of hands. Just the one.
Could I just mention something quite?
No, sorry, no. Right, well, let's move on to the next. Of course you can. Go on.
I don't know if you saw in the comments, but there's been chat today, hasn't there, about Chelsea and Arsenal possibly being involved in a player swap deal. I just wondered if any of you knew any more about it, or Oh, is it? Because I wouldn't mind swapping owners. Like that'd be all right, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be a player swap. But
Sorry, can you say that again? So I missed the. We've been.
there's been rumours that Chelsea and Arsenal have been talking to each other about a possible player swap. It's been some people have had a guess that it might be Guendouzi and somebody else, maybe Hudson-Odoi or maybe what's his face, Kante, or there was another Abraham as well. So I mean, all these names have been floated, but I just wondered if anyone actually knew anything else about that.
I would take Tammy Abraham every day of the week. If he was up for grabs,
Would you?
I would take him straight away. Extra option up front. We can change if we're in a game like we are yesterday, even though Nketiah come on, who I think is absolutely, I love Eddie Nketiah and I love Martinelli as well. But that extra target man type dimension to go to, I think that's a brilliant plan B if things aren't going right. I don't want Hudson-Odoi. Why do we need another winger? I'd rather keep Nelson.
I tell you the word. If you get Kante, you know, if you imagine swapping Kante for Guendouzi.
They'd get pelted. He would pelters for it though. He would get pelters for it. There is no way he would swap.
I'm not being funny. It's like chalk and cheese, isn't it? You know, you're swapping the finest wine for local plonk. It's
some oh god, what's it called? That stuff that they drink up in Scotland. That's it, Buckfast. Yeah.
Good stuff.
No, worse than that, mate. Mad Dog 2020.
Oh yeah, well, you can't knock that. I'm sorry, mate. You can't knock that. But what's that player that they've got called? He's got a triple-barreled name. He's
Ruben
got
Loftus-Cheek. That's another.
Yes, I'd like him. I like him.
I'd take him as well. Yeah, he's a brilliant player.
Who's Loftus-Cheek?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I put out a poll quite a few weeks ago about it, and it was massively. Everyone said no, and I couldn't understand it. I think he'd be a great player for us, just exactly what we need. You know, the ball carrying midfielder. And I'll take him every day as well.
I think if this was 12 months ago, I think favourite would have us getting check back.
As long as that's a check that's been written by Roman Abramovich, that type of check, I'll take that. But you can keep the goal.
I didn't know Arsenal had an ice hockey team, mate.
Exactly. We haven't. Palace. Palace are actually doing some interesting stuff, and they've been linked with some another forward today, and I can't think it was a young forward. Oh, the Liverpool forward.
Brewster.
Yes.
Oh, Brewster, right.
Yeah, they've been linked
Brewster's going to cost millions, isn't he?
On a permanent basis. Yeah, Brewster's millions. Great. Love that. But yeah, that Eze, they've got Eze and Batshuayi, who did all right with them last time he was on loan with them, didn't he? And it looks like they're getting a few decent players in for a change. They're going to be stuck with Zaha until he's about 74 because no one's going to be able to take him off his hand. So and he's had a decent start to the season, hasn't he? Because he's looking to get bought. But yeah, so I'll go to you. Oh, Ryan's gone. I don't know where Ryan's gone. Probably gone for a poo. James,
I'd have had a drink myself, but all right.
James,
He's got to get the door.
what are your thoughts on Palace's business so far? And do you think that how do you think they're going to get on?
Yeah, I put Palace 15th. So I think they're one of the teams that are going to be in there, but they'll stay up. They'll stay up. They got more than enough, I think, Palace to do well. You know, they get Mila. You know, that Milivojevic always seems to score a penalty or something, doesn't he? 9 times out of 10, and a free kick here and there or something. He's relatively solid. Van Aanholt seems to do really well towards the end of the season. You know, he's one of those ones that if you play fantasy football, you put him in about December time, he seems to blitz you through to the end of the season, keeps you going.
Yeah, well, that Milivojevic, you have him in every day of the week, don't you? He scores about 15 pens a season.
Yeah, he's just a solid,
free kicks.
Solid player. But Zaha's a tricky one. I really don't know. there's these rumours with us about getting him on a loan with an option to buy.
Oh,
and
just
so sending Nelson the other way, which I'm like, dude,
people that keep coming up with that, I just want to punch them straight in the face and just, just that time is gone. Just move on from Zaha.
he's
Jeez.
so good. He's so good, but at the same time, I'm like, buying him for Arsenal would make me think Arteta doesn't rate Pepe, and I don't think that's the case whatsoever.
No,
because
no.
I'm like, for me, I look at it and go, where would he fit in? Because on that right hand side, we're playing Willian there at the moment at the expense of Pepe, so it just doesn't make sense. If he signed for Arsenal, would I complain? Hell no. I think he's a quality player, but I don't see it. We were talking a minute ago about Chelsea just buying forwards for forwards' sakes. That just makes me think. I would question what's the thinking behind that, other than, it strengthens us and weakens everybody else. It stops up. It would be you're buying him so nobody else has him.
I don't rate the guy, to be perfectly honest. He's got skills, but I just don't think in this day and age, he would not still be at Palace after all these years if he was going to be like world class. It doesn't happen. They get snapped up by one of the big teams across Europe, and it just says everything to me that he's still at Palace. I know that they're asking a lot of money for him, but it wouldn't have bothered, Real Madrid before all this, the outbreak that we've been going through and all the financial crisis, etc. But he wouldn't have still been there. I don't know. He just doesn't put up the figure. I know he plays for Palace, but his figures, because everything has always gone through him, he should have much better, scoring record and assist record than he has, because everything goes through him.
Yeah, but he's also being double teamed, and exactly the same reason he's the star man. He's a fine footballer, okay? He's a fine footballer. I mean, he's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. We've all got some players, but there's a reason they wanted 80 million quid of us, because he's their star man. And whichever way you look at it, I don't understand why we'd want him at this moment in time, because our need is the midfield.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't sort the midfield out, forget going to a back four. The reason we don't play a back four is not because the personnel at centre back, it's because our midfield is fucking awful. You know what I mean? All this hype about Ceballos, and Xhaka. I like Granit Xhaka, I really do. But he ain't mobile enough. With all the possession they had on Saturday, they created very, very, very little. They stuffed it up. Too many poor passes and what have you. What's stopping us playing a back four is the middle pairing. An extra man in there, and they need the right man in there. And Danny's that. But he's a good player.
That his second goal against Man United was class.
You didn't see it.
It was the way he stood Maguire up and spun him was sensational.
Like a Greek policeman.
Yeah, he got away from him quicker than the Greek police. I know that much.
If you watch his form dip as soon as the transfer window shuts and he hasn't moved, he's playing for a move. He's playing for a move, isn't he?
Definitely.
I don't know. I can't deny that he's got, he's a good player, but I don't think he's anything that we need. And I think that he mainly plays where Aubameyang plays for us, doesn't he?
You put him up centre forward, he'll get you more goals than Lacazette will. Lacazette,
Nketiah will get more goals than Lacazette. I genuinely believe that. I'm not even joking.
But he's nowhere near the player Zaha is. But
no, he's not. No,
Saturday.
He's our top scorer this season. What are you talking about?
I think
He's big tally so far. Big tally.
He's been quality, Lacazette. I don't know what you two are on about with Lacazette.
I think Zaha's just if you're buying him to play him at centre forward, then he's like, oh, all right, Jason, sorry, mate.
I think it was
he's gone. I think if you're buying Zaha to play centre forward, then he's got the edge over those the other two, just in terms of first of all, Premier League experience, athleticism as well. You know, he's got all the skills too. I actually think that would not be the worst. I mean, I'm not sure that I actually advocate for the move, but I think if it happened, I wouldn't mind. It'd be all right.
He's never scored more than 7 goals in a season. I know that's for Palace, and I know he'll get more for Arsenal because we'll create more for him. But I wouldn't put him as a centre forward. I'd rather.
He'd win us a lot of penalties as well. He'd get tackled a lot playing in our side.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, let's have a vote on Palace. They finished 14th last year. Do you think the Palace are going to finish higher than 14th? I think they are. I think they're going to finish about 12th, personally. So there's 2 of us.
Adams, right?
I think there's a 4-place team, to be honest with you, but look at the job Roy Hodgson's done there.
He's done an incredible job, old boy. And he, even when he's when he swings his head round, he looks like a turkey, doesn't he? When he's like,
remember when he joined Palace and Danny Mills, he's not the man for them. I don't see he's going to take him down. And Hodgson just keeps on doing what he's done throughout his career, putting out teams, making the most. I think he's excellent. I love Roy Hodgson. He's brilliant football man.
Yeah, people are screaming for him to go. A lot of the Palace fans I've seen, and because they just want more exciting football and stuff. But I'll tell you what, if he goes, they're only going one way. That he is doing a great job there, and they don't realise it, and they won't realise it until he's gone, because he keeps them so organised.
When they lost, didn't he? He took over when they lost 4 games on the trot, didn't score a goal, didn't he? From De Boer.
Yeah, that was it. They wanted more excited football. They got De Boer, and then
exactly, James. Exactly.
They didn't have the players there to do that type of football that De Boer wanted. He's trying to play Ajax football, and he had the remnants of what Sam Allardyce had before him. I'm like, you can't teach that to these. They ain't going to learn that football.
No, exactly. And like I said, I think they've done some fairly decent business as well. That Eze that they brought in, I mentioned him in one of my podcasts. I really like that kid, and he's going to go places. He really is. And if they get that young, what's wrong with me? I think I'm going to see Brewster. Thank you very much. If they get him as well, he's going to score a few goals for them with that Eze and Zaha laying him on the plate. So,
Andrew, what's happened to Benteke? Is he still at the Palace, or they sold him?
No, he's still there. Still there.
Yeah, that's a fall from grace, isn't it? He was outstanding.
He is a really, really underrated 2-goal-a-season striker. If you want someone to score a couple of goals a season, he's perfect. Yeah, he's a really good player.
I would say he could score in a brothel, but they're all shut at the moment due to COVID, so he definitely.
Zaha's good for that one as well. You just keep him away from David Moyes and his family.
Everybody what Patrice Evra says, but I've been saying that for years. That was a big rumor that came out years ago, and then Patrice Evra confirmed.
I know, that's unbelievable. I can't believe he did that. Well, let's move on to one of probably the best, the teams that have done best in this transfer window, in my opinion. It's Everton. Now I'm going to go. I think I'll go to you. We haven't spoken to you about this one for a while, right? Everton have done some good business, in my opinion. I think I'm going to hold back slightly on James Rodriguez just until he's played a few more games, but he's had a great start. And I think they've identified exactly what they needed, and they've got exactly what they needed. And they could be dark horses this season for, it's definitely Europa League place, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely. Again, as you said, they've done fantastic business. Like we've done in our transfer window, they've done the exact same thing, identifying the weakest point of where they need addressing. They've addressed it. Alan Decore, Premier League proven, someone we should have gone for as well, like you've said before. And James Rodriguez, and first 2 games, he looked pretty good. It's obviously get a run of games together when you're playing against the big boys like your Merseyside derbies at Liverpool and Chelsea's and things like that. That's when you're going to see if he's going to meet the standard on a consistent basis with James, and also injuries as well. If he can stay injury free and put a good amount of games together, then we'll know if he is been worth the actual trouble of getting him into the club and all that. Because obviously the last few years since the World Cup, he hasn't had that shine. Because obviously he went to Madrid, got the big move that he wanted, and never clicked for him after that. Wherever he went, it just never worked. But Everton, the only weak point, as I've said, I had an Everton fan on my channel a couple of weeks ago. We're doing a preview for the season. I said the only weak point for me is the goalkeeper, Pickford. He's not as bad as Kepa, but still, that's the one weak point. That's one thing they've got to address at some point. It's not an immediate thing, but it's at some point you need to address that to go to the next, to be consistent. Once you're in the top four, say they were dark, as you said, they're dark horse, and they managed to get a top four spot or fifth. They can get European football either way. That's something next time they can go out and address, because he ain't good enough for a club like Everton, the direction they want to go in.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I think it's fantastic. You've got Calvert-Lewin, someone from their academy as well, who's given under Ancelotti, given a role as like the 3-1 to be the striker, and he's thrived off it. And as we saw this weekend, scored an absolute, well, not an absolute bang of a hat trick. One of them was a tap-in, but he still had to be there to score it.
He's learned from one of the best, didn't he? Old Dunk, Big Dunk. I used to love watching Big Dunk back in the day. And he was one of my favourite forwards. I loved how he played. He was one of the best headerers I've ever seen. Duncan Ferguson, and he ain't got much anyone better really to learn off. And I think he's improved his game. But since Ancelotti's come in, he's getting even better, isn't he? At Calvert-Lewin, he's looking like the real deal. Jace, sorry, Chappers, I mean, I beg your pardon. Have you got anything to add on Everton before we have a vote and see where they're going to finish this year?
Well, they've just come a long way since Sam Allardyce, haven't they?
Yeah.
When you think about, and Koeman as well for that matter, like when you think about what an absolute mess they were in, and like when I was growing up, Everton were very much, one of the big kind of respected teams, and we're always kind of up there in the running and stuff. And I think their fans are kind of, maybe thinking that they're on the verge of kind of getting towards there again. Do you know what I mean? I mean, just to echo what Ryan's been saying, he's made some really, really astute signings, and they're playing some decent football. So I don't see any reason why they can't finish much higher than they did last season. They've got an absolute superstar in James Rodriguez. I mean, like you say, all right, it's only been a couple of games, but he's lit up that team every time he's played. So I'd say why not? I think they're probably going a little bit higher than they did last year for sure.
Just can I add something?
Yeah,
just very quickly, a one-liner.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course you can. Yeah.
I don't think you'll see the best of Everton until Iwobi comes back.
Definitely, they're really missing him, and Walcott.
£40 million well spent.
Yeah,
definitely.
Oh, dear.
That's why it's so surprising what they've done this summer. Well, can't call it summer. This window, really, because they actually made some really good signings for once, haven't they? I mean, they've got James for free, didn't they? I mean, obviously they're going to be paying him through the nose, but that's a great catch, isn't it, for free? Really, so far. But yeah, I mean,
how old is he? 28?
29.
29.
If it works out though, that's a massive signal of intent as well going forward for the club.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, and Decore was a good signing for them. And that Allen, I didn't really know anything about Allen, if I'm honest, before, but he looks like ideal for them, doesn't he? I mean, that's a really good midfield that they've got there now. So
just as good as Rodriguez has been, Allen is superb.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
where did he come from?
From people,
Napoli,
wasn't it? I think I think Ancelotti had him before at Napoli. No, he's been fantastic. He
is the player that Torreira should have been, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's the thing.
You know, had to fuck that one up.
I think this vote really is a no-brainer because they finished 12th last year. Can I say? Do you reckon that all of us think they're going to finish a bit higher than 12th this year?
Oh, just a bit, yeah. Just a
Definitely. How high do you think that they can get, though?
9.
It's really, really tough this year, isn't it?
I say 5th or 6th.
I think I agree with Chapper's 7th. They're going to win the Everton Cup again, aren't they? They lost it last year, but I think they're going to win the Everton Cup again this year and finish 7th. Because but they could. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish, 6th. Because let's face it, Ancelotti's is still a really good manager. Right, going to move on. Fulham. I don't know what to say about Fulham, really. Jason.
They'll finish higher than last year. They definitely will.
Well, yeah, I suppose so, because they finished 4th in the Championship, didn't they?
Well,
have you got anything, Jason? Have you got anything to say about what you've seen so far about Fulham? And so, I mean, I don't rate Parker. I mean, Jesus, I don't think he's a very...
To be fair, Parker took him up, okay? And you can turn and say, "Oh, Brentford should have beaten them all they won." They didn't, they didn't, and you get the Premier League on merit, but they're heading straight back down. I thought against us, they played some nice football at times, but they didn't create enough. You need that goal scorer. Until they get that, they need to improve all over the park. I just don't see how they stay up.
No.
It would be the biggest shock. Be one of the biggest shocks in a long time to see them stay up for me. They're like Norwich.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to some EFL podcasts as well, and it's widely said that with the squad that they had last year, they should have really pushed for the title with Leeds, and they were fairly lucky to scrape, up to 4th and get through the playoffs with a lot of their performances last year. So I can't see anything other than them going straight back down, which leads me to one question. I think Norwich have got this business plan whereby they're quite happy to be this yo-yo club for the next few seasons, because they go up, grab the money, 60, 70, 80 million for being in the Premier League for a season. Then they go down and get half that again. They get 40 million quid parachute payment. And then they're going to continue building some wealth until they can get this a squad which is going to be really ready to sort of make a real go of it in the Premier League. And the owners have quite happily sort of said that, if we go up and down, no problem, because they're earning all the time. And obviously they're going to be making some really good sales of some of their young stars as well. I'm wondering whether more clubs are going to be doing things like that, because obviously Fulham must have learned from what they did a couple of seasons ago, spending all that money and wasting it, and they've hardly spent anything this year. And the same with West Brom. They've hardly made any sort of significant signings. Now, I know it's a bit of a difficult climate out there financially, but I'm wondering whether more clubs are going to start doing that. I mean, what do you think, Ryan?
It's like you said a couple of years ago. They spent over 100 mil, went straight back down this year. They haven't really they've spent, but not at that level. And then the players they've brought in, you can't say they're coming in to improve, because you've got none of them really even know that, apart from the goalkeeper they've brought in on loan. Even
he's going to make a tit of himself, isn't he? Areola.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like when Fulham got promoted, because I watched the playoff final that night. Scotty Parker was saying about how he spent the whole season sort of getting that losing mentality out of the club and winning. We've got to win. And then obviously they've lost this weekend, on obviously the opening weekend as well. But this weekend, on Match of the Day, saying we're talking about losing mentality. We're like, what is it? You've either bettered it out of them or you haven't. And I think Scotty Parker's again, because going back to when they were last in the Premier League as well, he didn't really put up trees then, and obviously going Championship, as you said, they just about scraped into a playoff spot by the skin of their teeth. And even then, in the final itself, by all counts, they really, on any other day, they would have won that. It's by a pure fluke more than anything. And
I think that's been a bit of the championship, difficult league to get out of.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You can't knock them for getting out of the championship, but it's. I don't think they were ready.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think they need another season because they've come up with they've gone down. They had Mitrovic. They've gone down with him. They haven't got another striker alongside as well. We saw the other game when we played them the opening weekend. They had no threat against us. We had no threat, no nothing, no creativity. And in this Premier League, you need to stay up. You need goals, and Mitrovic week in week out isn't going to get you goals. And also, he's injury prone as well in the last couple of years. So they need to go out and get at least another centre forward, someone that either push Mitrovic, or go past him and actually be the one that gets them the goals. Because as it stands, I can't see them staying up with the squad they've got currently. This next 2.5 weeks will be crucial. Either they're going to be a Derby County from 2006-2007 season, where they could be the whipping boys of the league, or they actually make a fight of it.
Yeah, Mitrovic for me is the absolute epitome of the striker that is too good for the Championship, but not good enough for the Premier League. A bit like Dwight Gale, I think they're in a class of their own, those two, really, for being on that cusp. Let's have a quick vote. Who thinks they're going to stay up? Right. Sorry, Scotty Parker.
No.
It's a shame because I think Fulham. I like Fulham as a club. It's just that since they went down a few years ago, they've never really recovered. And also they came up. I thought, okay, you're back. You got stay up and then start rebuilding. And they never did. They spent in the wrong places. They overspent, and it backfired. And then this year they've gone complete opposite. But also bought players that you haven't even heard of, that you don't know if they're going to improve the squad or not. But for the first 2 games, you can't say they have or are going to.
No. One thing about Scotty Parker, quickly before we move on, did anyone else notice that he was really scratching his face against Arsenal? This is a really weird thing. He's obviously got some kind of stress problem. Well, I think, and he came out half-time, after the end of half-time, his face was bright red. Having a good old scratch on it. Did anyone else notice that? Just me.
You mentioned it in the watch-along.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Anyway, I think he's, like you say, got a bit of a, I don't know, OCD or a stress disorder or something. But not the ideal job, really, is it, if you've got that?
No,
now, let's move on to...
You would be stressed at Fulham.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I've really enjoyed watching this team. So far, I think they're going to be extremely entertaining. Leeds United, I think this is going to be a roller coaster season for them. I think their anthem should be Vindaloo. We're going to score one more than you this season. I think that they should come out to that. Now, Chappers, I'll go quickly to you first. What do you think about? Have you seen any of them so far? Have you watched any of their highlights, their games?
Yeah. I watched the game against Liverpool, and I watched the. What else did they play?
Fulham.
No, I didn't watch that, but I was just keeping an eye on it on the text. The Liverpool game I watched, and that was quite an incredible match, wasn't it? From what I saw there, it was very much a case of, I think both teams there were very, it was just a case of they were very slow out in the blocks when it comes to coming back from the restart, So it was just it was a bit of a crazy anomaly where both teams kind of forgot how to defend for a large portion of the match. But thankfully, also both teams also hadn't forgotten how to attack either. And actually, Leeds are looking really, really exciting, aren't they? Just with regards to the way that the way that Gales has got them set up and the way that they attack, even if maybe they haven't cracked the sort of defending as a unit thing right yet. I think that will come. I think quite a lot of Arsenal fans are quite down on Leeds, aren't they? But Personally, it's been a long time since they've been back in the Premiership, and I personally welcome them with open arms if we're going to see some entertaining football from an entertaining manager. I love that little box that he sits on. It's a beautiful thing, yes, as far as I'm concerned, I think Leeds are looking good, and they'll probably stay up as well.
Yeah, definitely. Melvin, what's your thoughts on them?
I think they do quite well. I think they know how to score goals. They gave us a football lesson in the first half in the FA Cup last year. And I got a couple of very good friends who are mad Leeds United supporters. And that's why any time they're on television, I watch them. And I've been very impressed in what I've seen. They have got the ability to turn a win into a defeat in a very short period of time during a game. They've had that a few times, especially last year and the year before that, funny enough. But I think they'll learn by their mistakes. I think the manager, again, he's been with them a couple of years now. He's got to know his team. They've got to know him. And I think they're growing the division as the season goes on. So I really think they do well.
Do you know what? I think, and this is my controversial opinion of the evening. I think probably my ideal signing for Arsenal, rather than Thomas Partey, I know we ain't going to get him, but it's Calvin Phillips. I think he would be an incredible signing, and he's such a good age.
Yeah,
he could do everything. That kid, the Yorkshire Perlo, they call him. I would love to get him, but he's out of our reach now. But James, have the final word, and then I'll come to you, Jason, on the next team. What's your thoughts on Leeds? And then we'll have a vote.
Yeah, no, they're definitely staying up, and yeah,
they're missing Ben White, aren't they? They're missing Ben White, and their new signings got to settle in.
Yeah, I think so, but you've just had somewhat controversial take there. Mine is that Patrick Bamford will be this season's Timo Pukki at the start.
Yeah,
he'll be the guy that's newly promoted, and he'll score and assist and everything else. He's doing quite well at the moment. I mean, that Glick's doing well, like you said. Phillips Costa's a good player, and yeah, I don't think they're going to be absolutely like top 10, but I put them at 13th in my predictions. And then I think from that they'll build from there. But I mean, they're desperate for a centre half, and there's been a few links with them and Chambers. So I know we got to get players out the door. I'm quite a Chambers fan. I quite like Callum Chambers. However, if beggars can't be choosers and they come in with an offer for him, I'd kindly tell I would say, well, if he goes and it benefits us to buy better players, then so long, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's more likely to go to Fulham potentially, because they've had him before. He was their Player of the Year a couple of years ago, wasn't he?
I don't think he wants another relegation on his name. No. So I think he'd rather go to Leeds.
Very good point. Very good point. Right? Do we think? Let's say, because I know it's going to be a bit tough. Do we think that they will finish above 14th in the league?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I do, definitely, as well. I think they've got the I really hope so anyway. I'd love to see them sort of grow into the Premier League. Right, Jason, Leicester. Now, they're a tough one, really, because so far, I think they've only had the one player come in, which is Timothy Castagna from Atalanta. They've lost a few players. I think the biggest one, Ben Chilwell. What's your thoughts on them? Because they obviously started off last season like a bat out of hell, and then they just stayed in hell and sort of got a bit burdened towards the end of the season. Difficult one to read, I think. How do you think they're going to get on?
I don't think they can be anywhere near top 4. I've got to be honest. I think they're 7 or 8. That's around where. Yeah, if they've had a good season, I think they'll finish around 7th or 8th. They've got Wolves in that bracket challenging them. They've got a lot of good players. If Vardy has a good season, bangs in the goals, they'll be okay. I don't think Chilwell's going to be a massive loss to them. I think he's another one of those signings for them where, they're just turning over the money to reinvest in the squad. Pryor looked good. Castagna looked good. Who's the boy? Who's the boy who plays 10 for them? Oh, what's his name? The young
Madison.
English kid.
Tielemans.
No.
Oh,
Madison.
Madison.
Madison, yeah. I like Madison. He's a divey little git, but he's a lovely footballer. Tielemans is a really good footballer. I think he reminds me a lot of, I can't remember the name of there was a Dutch boy who came into Swansea on loan from Valencia.
The
And
Guzman.
he did really well in the Premier League for the Swans for a season. And I think they're going to be okay. I think they're solid at the back. I just think they're going to finish 8 around there, 7, 8. But Everton are going to overtake them. The money's going to talk at the end of the day. But yeah, they'll do well again. It's a good win last night for them. Every 3 points counts, and they're not gonna challenge the top 4. They're just not. Last season, you look how many draws we had last season, 14. We're not gonna have that this season. I think Chelsea are gonna be decent. I think United will improve. I think after a while, I think the top 4 is gonna be a lot more competitive this season. But to be fair to Brendan Rodgers is a decent manager. Okay. Yes, they fell off last season, but when you look at the spends of all those clubs in that top 6, they had the lowest by far. So yeah, they'll be okay, but 7th or 8th max.
Chappers, what's your thoughts before we go to a vote on Leicester?
I mean, it's not really very different from what Jason's been saying, really. It's annoying to see Brendan Rodgers' face, really, isn't it? Whenever they play him,
he's extremely irritated.
I don't know. There is something about Brendan Rodgers. I think that he kind of elevates himself far above where he actually is.
It's a bit of that, isn't it? A bit of that.
It looks like he should be a character in Benidorm, the program Benidorm.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Round the old pool with his,
and his speedos. Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing about Leicester. They do have some good players, and they play some pretty nice football. But I can never really get on board with them, really, because of him. He irritates me a lot. I mean, I think possibly, maybe 6th, maybe 7th. I don't think they'll do as well as they did last year. I have to say though, that lad Castagna is decent. He is really a really nice player. But for me, I just don't think that they'll have They really faltered when they came back from the lockdown. And I think a similar thing is going to happen with them, is that, when it comes to the end of the season, they're going to run out of steam, and they'll be, like I say, 6th or 7th.
Their form after Christmas, was absolutely appalling. You can't forget that. It was almost like relegation form. It was ridiculous. But I'll tell you what, another player I'd have from them 100% is Wilfred Ndidi. I think he'd be another great signing for us. But again, out of our price range, I think now he's they would ask for 80 million, same as they do for all their players. I think. But I love him as a player.
They have got some very, very good players, Leicester, and they play as a team. My favourite with them is their right back. Is it Pereira or something? What's his name? The right back.
Pereira,
I think it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And the reason that the form did dip, and I did say that on some channel, I don't know what it was once they gave the manager a fantastic contract. They gave an enormous contract, and for tongue in cheek, I went, well, they'll probably drop form now. And but they did. That may or may not have been the reason, but it's just those little tweaks sometimes. But they're literally. I don't like him. I don't like the way the manager comes across. But I think he's a very good manager.
What were you saying, James? You were saying something there?
No, we've spoken all night about teams that have these spines, and Leicester, they've got Schmeichel, Soyuncu, Evans, Justin, Pereira. That Castagni's come in. You mentioned Ndidi, Maddison. You got is it Grady, the young English boy that plays on the wings?
Oh, great, yeah.
That's it, Damari Gray. Sorry, yeah, Gray.
Damari Gray, yeah.
Brilliant player. They've got.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They've got. They're not going to get top 4, but they'll be in the top 8. I think I put them at 8th place. But they don't. Other than that, they'll get a few scalps this season. Hopefully not Arsenal, but they will get scalps this year. But they ain't going to be pushing to the levels they were pushing at last season.
The funny thing about it, everybody mentions really good players with Leicester, don't they? You know, you've heard different names mentioned, and they're all good quality Premier League players, and they're all top half of the league players as well. You know, Brendan Rodgers. Oh God, yeah, he's an acquired taste. Okay, but as I've echoed, he's a bloody good manager. You know, he knows what he's doing. I went up to Wembley for the Swans playoff final. All my mates are Swans fans. And I tell you what, okay, it was never in doubt. From the off, it was never in doubt. He had QPR on the ropes. And, you know, unfortunately, Liverpool made the wrong move for him. I think that went a bit too. But, you know, good manager, good squad.
Yeah. There's something about him that just, I don't know whether he's got a shelf life at a club. I'm not sure, but anyway, they've got a really good squad. They finished 5th? I think it was 5th, wasn't it, last year?
Yeah, 5th.
Who thinks? I mean, are they going to finish higher than 5th this season?
You got to factor in they got Europa League as well now, so they need.
Yeah.
You need. If you've got Europa League, you need at least 2 decent for every position, which they've somewhat got. But I think he'll look at it and go, do you know what? I might fancy myself in this. I might give this Europa League a go, and that will cost them in the league.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a really good point. Right, now we're going to move on. Now, are you all right, chappers, or do you need to shoot off? You're on mute, mate.
Sorry, I was just sending a message in the chat. In the chat. Okay.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. I'm not feeling particularly well, but I'm going to stick around in time to slag Man U off because he wouldn't, right? So
we're going to.
I've got to go before we do the Scottish divisions. All right.
I really want to get your thoughts on Elgin Town, though. So hang on.
I've just made a note, Paulina.
Elgin City.
Right. Elgin City. I do beg your pardon. Yeah.
Amateurs.
Liverpool. Going to be a quick one, really. This one, because I think they're a complete game changer with bringing in Thiago and Diogo Jota out of nowhere. I think before they brought those in, I really didn't think they were going to win the league this year. I thought it was going to be City, but I think they're going to win the league again this year now because they're a couple of great signings. So you can't deny that.
Give me 1 minute.
Different gravy. James, what's your thoughts on those? Just, I mean, we don't have to go too much in depth. We know they're a great team, but I mean that those 2 signings are just what they needed, aren't they?
Yeah. Like you just said, Thiago's a game changer. I mean, he come on yesterday, and everybody that was going on about, you're being harsh to Havertz. You know, it's really out of order what you're doing to Havertz. You look at Arsenal, you got Gabriel first 2 games up and running. You know, he scored in the first one, and he was arguably Arsenal's best player in the second one against West Ham. Thiago comes on for Liverpool yesterday, completely changes the game. Okay, he gave some penalty away. It's a bit of I thought it was a soft pen. You know, I was glad when Chelsea missed it, but I think he's going to completely add an extra dimension to this Liverpool side. Jota, for me, doesn't make sense. I don't know why they've signed him, because I look at it and go, where is he going to play, and when? It just, you know, it's a bloody good squad player to have, but at the same time, he's a squad player nonetheless. And I was looking at it today, and I saw that apparently Wolves are looking at getting Oxlade-Chamberlain for about 20 to 25 mil, and it was just like, well, hang on a sec.
Yeah, they've denied that though. Liverpool said he's not for sale at all today.
Oh, really? Oh, fair enough. Because I was looking at it thinking, well, hang on a sec. Why have you just sold Jota for loads of money, and then you're only going to give Liverpool money back for?
Yeah,
it makes sense in my head, but no, I don't want him to win.
I think Jota. The thing is with Jota, sorry to butt in, but he is a massive upgrade on like Shaqiri as a backup to the front three. And that's what he's going to be. He's going to be rotating with with someone just to give them a bit of rest. But I think he's a lovely player, Jota.
Yeah, he is. But no, I can't have him winning the league, because if the fans do go back, then we're going to have to see them all win it. And no, I can't abide Liverpool, and I can't abide Liverpool fans. So
no, I know.
Anyone else but them to win the league for me. Obviously, apart from one other, but I can't have Liverpool win the league.
I know. It's just looking ominous to me. I'm not going to spend too long on Liverpool, but they finished last season first, clearly, as we all know. Are they going to finish below first?
Yeah.
Still think
they're not. I think they're going to win it. They're going to win it.
Yeah,
again.
I've changed my mind. I think they will now. I think he's going to make all the difference as long as he stays fit. He's the best midfielder in the world, I think. Our Thiago. So,
Andrew, we never know, but I think they might have won it without him.
Maybe. But I mean, that's just made that's a different ball game now that they've got him. Now, Manchester City, they've brought in Scott Carson. Is that right? Nathan Ake. Nathan Ake, Ferran Torres, and Pablo Moreno from Juventus. I think they're definitely still going to make some signings. Again, we all know about Manchester City. Jason, what do you think? Are they lacking? Do you think they've got a better chance this season? I mean, they were just well off the pace, weren't they, last season? So how do you think it's just in a nutshell, really, how do you think they're going to get on?
The disastrous season last season by their standards. I think they'll improve this season. I'm not sure if Liverpool are going to keep up their standards from last season. There's a lot of them that will all of a sudden have asthma. A lot of Liverpool players who all of a sudden have asthma.
22 of their squad. 22.
Yeah, all of a sudden, they're pegged up to high hell. Okay, that's not to say Man City aren't, right? But let's keep it honest. Okay, Klopp's a fucking cheat, right? They got away from murder on VAR last season. Or you don't just all of a sudden get asthma. It doesn't work that way,
No, I know that.
Ferran Torres as well from Man City has somehow put on about 5 kilos within 2 weeks or so as well. Just saying.
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. It's either going to be City or Liverpool winning it, in my opinion. I'd toss a coin. I hate them both. But I find Liverpool particularly fucking more odious than Man City. They're a scummy club. Klopp's a twat. They're all fucking cheats. They're all pegged up. I hope they fucking rot in hell. That's all I've got to say in it.
Can I ask you a question? Did you sign for them when you were up and coming footballer, and then they let you go on a free or something?
Do you know what gets me? My brother's been mates with Ryan Brewster's dad for about 10, 12 years. Okay, Brewster was at Chelsea before we went up to Liverpool. When he signed for Liverpool, he was promised first team football, promised this, promised that.
What's happened?
And fuck Jurgen Klopp.
Jason, when I invited you on, I really was hoping you weren't going to hold back. I want you to actually say how you feel. It's just,
and breathe.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Yeah. But let's say, right, they finished second last season.
About Manchester City, but yeah.
They finished second last season, so we know that we had with the previous vote we just had. Are they going to finish lower than second?
Higher. I think they'll win.
You think they'll finish
I
higher?
think they will.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I gathered that because of the last vote that we had. Who was going to say that? But I just wondered if any of you were going to say that they're going to finish lower than second. I think Newcastle. I'm just going to quickly skip through Newcastle because I do want you to.
You seem to have missed a thing, mate.
Man United. So I beg your pardon. Jesus Christ. Donny van der Beek was a great signing, but they've also signed Odion Igalo again on loan, which is unbelievable. I think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is one of the worst managers in the Premier League, if I'm completely honest, and I cannot believe that they're sticking with him when there's Mauricio Pochettino out there waiting for. He's waiting for that job. Let's face it. I'm not being funny, but at the end of last season, they should have just said, "Thanks, Ollie. Cheers, mate. On your bike." But they're just keeping hold of him out of sentiment. Chappers.
I don't think he
was. Sorry, Ryan. I'll come to you in just a second. Chappers wanted to have his say and maybe needs to shoot off after. Have you say on Man United, Chappers?
Well, they're a fucking disaster area, aren't they? Look at them. I mean, they're two games into the season, and it is not looking good, is it? I mean, what? Their fans are terrible. I just yesterday, I was like, I could really do with a little bit of cheering up. What am I going to do? Oh, do you know what I might do? I might put search in Twitter for hashtag Ole out. That'll be quite fun, wouldn't it? Just reams and reams of it. Ole out, looking out, my club, etc. And do you know what? I was just, that really sent me off to a really nice, peaceful sleep, knowing that those Man United fans, they're never going to change. You know, they had their man Woodward, which, apparently they sent out a 16th century mob of peasants with pitchforks and the like outside his house. And he could torch the place down. But that guy doesn't do himself any favors, does he? He's like, fucking hell, we'll do this, we'll do that, and basically he's talked them now into transfer trouble, hasn't he? Because they have not really got a lot of room to negotiate. Yes, as Thunder Road says, Ollie's at the wheel like Marcus Alonso. I couldn't agree more, Thunder Road. It really is. They really are a car crash. A bin fire, and I just hope that they keep hold of Ollie, because if it carries on like this, it's going to make for some really, really big entertainment this season. I think we're going to have some real fun with that. I don't think they'll do as well as last year. I don't know if you sense that, but
no, I think they were so lucky to get where they did last year. I really do. Ryan, are you okay to stop for a bit longer, or do you need to go off?
Yeah,
No, Chappers.
Oh, sorry. I'll listen in on this one, and then I'll chip off.
Ryan, go on. Just give us your thoughts on United.
Just touching on what you said about this, about keeping Ollie there just out of pure sympathy and things like sentiment and things like that. I don't think it was that. I think it's just because he's a yes man, and Poch has come in, and we've seen it at Tottenham under Daniel Levy. He likes to rock the boat. He wants to rock the boat because he wants backing. And he never got that Tottenham. You just tell for the last few years he wasn't getting back, and every time he wouldn't, your body language and parts you could see, and that's Man United don't want that. They want someone that come in and go, yes sir, no sir, feedback's full, sir. What? You want to buy this person from China who's a Man United fan but hasn't got any ability to be a Man United player? Okay, no problem. Not actually rock the boat. And it's again, this is an absolute car crash. The thing is, this goes back from when Ferguson was actually at the club, in the sense of being the manager. Because if you look back at the last couple of years of his time at Man United, them teams should be nowhere near winning league titles, but they did. And the second he walks out the door, the season later, the following season, that same team finishes 7th.
Yeah, because he had the authority, and they were scared of him. I mean, which one of you, Melvin, Jason, James, who's going to have the biggest rant at Man United? Put your hand up, because you can go next. Who's going to take the piss? Thank you, Jason. Go for it.
Right. Where I come from, okay, when you grew up in West Wales, all the scumners, they're like fucking rats. Okay? And they're the support fucking Man United, or they fucking support Liverpool, okay? And the most entitled bunch of cunts I've ever met in my life. And these people are friends of mine. They're friends of mine. They're people I want to piss with. We go to their weddings, we go to the piss. You know what I mean? We're mates, but they're the most entitled bunch of cunts you've ever met in your life, okay? You know, you look at the 50th game, okay? In the 49th. They kicked us off the fucking park. And I got people telling me, that's a fair fucking challenge. And I'm thinking, but you're a cunt. If I did that to you, you know what I mean? Why don't you fuck off me, okay? I don't think, Woodward wants a yes man, okay? He just wants somebody to get fucking Pogba out of the ground quickly because the guy's too busy fucking dancing to play fucking football. I'm Jesse fucking Lingard. Who thought it was a good
Jesse
idea?
Lingard, oh my God.
Idea not to wear a condom that night. Fuck hard, okay? The only person in that squad worth a wank. Well, I like Daniel James, but that's just because he's Welsh, okay? But Marcus Rashford is the only guy who can hold his head up in that squad as a decent fucking human being, okay? In fact, not in the fucking club, okay? The Glazers, isn't it? They're a bunch of neo-Nazi cunts, aren't they?
Just after the watershed.
They love their heads up. Fucking hood on. Here we go, boys. Let's light some fucking fires. Right? I'm telling you now, okay, these fucking scummers need to be eradicated. They need to be eradicated, And I don't know how you do it, but fuck, they're a horrible bunch of bastards. Fucking Mancunians.
Go on, Melvin.
I've got a request. I don't want to be here when we talk about Spurs, all right? Just in case. The floor.
That's where it's going to get even better. I mean, seriously. Do you know what the funniest thing is? Just one quickly that we heard about Jesse Lingard. The funniest thing ever I saw is that Tottenham are linked with him for 30 million quid. 30 million quid.
I don't know who's the biggest mug, though. Who's the biggest mug?
It's just hilarious. Absolutely, on both sides.
Don't have money.
James,
I'll tell you something. So just on one side, Man United. My question to you lot will be: how bad have they got to be before we beat them at Old Trafford?
I think this season we beat them at Old Trafford.
I think we will.
I'd like to think so, but we think that every year, and we should beat them every year, and we don't. We have a mental block.
Apart from Bruno Fernandes, he's bound to get a fucking couple of penalties. Just stupid. I mean, how overrated can you get to say he completely turned their season around when he gets 21 penalties? I mean, fuck. I mean, that penalty, the way he stood on the other player's foot.
Aston Villa, that was.
Yeah.
And the other game as well. The last game, he was jumping all over the place. Was it Palace?
Palace, yeah.
He was giving it the old arm in agony. That's before the kickoff.
To be fair,
not only did he attack that, he jumped on his ankle and then flew to the floor.
Yeah, it was a disgrace.
River dance. It's like river dance. You jump it over. You know, he's a fucker.
I know he's a fuck. I hate him. Absolutely fucking hate him. I just cannot believe they finished where they finished last season. It's just a joke. I mean, there's no way in my world that they finish that high again. No, I don't think they're going to get a top four
Ever again. Ever again.
Can you imagine though? I mean, can you imagine the players having to actually take instructions from that elfish geek they've got in charge of that team? You know, I mean,
excuse me, I find that insulting to elves and geeks. All right.
I mean, seriously, he is a joke of a manager.
You were sticking up for dinosaurs last night, mate. I saw you.
Paul Pogba standing there doing his dancing, trying to take instructions from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It just makes me laugh even thinking about it, to be perfectly honest. The longer he stays there, the better. I just can't. I hope he does, because they will never get anywhere with him in charge. Never. So, I mean, that's an easy one for me, but who thinks they're going to finish outside the top four? Bloody hell, James. Go on. Give you defence then.
Yeah, you know for a fact he's getting sacked. They're going to get a manager at the likes of a Pochettino or an Allegri. Then in the January, they're going to spend a ton of money and they'll get one player that will get them top four again. Because it's what Man United does. It's what Man United always does. And they'll sneak it. We'll all sit here again and we'll all go, for fuck's sake, that whoever they've just bought, what a fucking arsehole he is. And It's what they do. It's what they do. They will sort themselves out because they will panic. They will go into an absolute panic and they'll sort it all out because they're Man United. Do you know what I mean? As more as they are as a football club, they're a brand, and that brand needs to succeed. And they will find whatever means or whatever way to do it. If they have to get on the PED train, they'll do it. They might be behind the others, but they'll find the way and they'll catch up. But I mean, from watching their game yesterday, and okay, it's only one game, but you know, I'm probably going to gamble and say that I'm the youngest one here. If I'm not, apologies. But being born in '91 and watching, you know, from '95 onwards, this is the worst Manchester United team that I've ever seen. And that's not offensively, but defensively. I'm used to Man United, you know, Yap Stam, Vidic, Ferdinand, just proper, decent defense. Maguire yesterday, he couldn't lead Ants up a dead dog's ass. He was absolutely diabolical yesterday. Lindelof, I don't know how he justifies a wage. They seriously need something, and I don't know, just because the manager stands there and he's got a nice little smile and he's a nice guy and everything. They don't need a nice guy. They need an arsehole, because when they had an arsehole, they produced results.
Exactly. That I cannot believe they paid 85 million for that Maguire. He lumbers around like Frankenstein's monster. You know, his head's just as big as Frankenstein's monster. I can't believe he actually got the strength in his neck to carry it around, to be perfectly honest. And he's going to be banged up in prison before too long and all. So I can't see them getting anywhere near where they finished last season. And I just hope to God you're wrong, James, and they keep him. Because what they normally do, they'll go on a run of like 7 or 8 games, and then all the media will be going, "Oh, I've told you he's a great manager, blah, blah, blah." And then they'll just go off a cliff again. And I just hope that keeps happening, and they just stick with him, because the longer he stays there, the better it is for us, to be perfectly honest. So, did we have that vote? Sorry, I've completely gone past.
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, we voted. I'm going to chip off now, chaps. But it's been a pleasure as always. Thanks for having us on, Andrew.
Thank you ever so much. I've got your predictions, so I'll read them out as we go through.
Yeah. Cool. Nice one, chap.
Nice to see you, chappers. Nice to see you, chappers.
Yeah, all the best. Keep well.
Right, I'm going to quickly go through these ones now, because Newcastle United, I think they'd actually had a really good summer, because they've got, I think Ryan Fraser and Callum Wilson are really astute signings, because they've obviously know each other. They played together. They've Fraser, beg your pardon, can get him mixed up with Ryan Reece Nelson. Ryan Fraser's has obviously played a lot with Callum Wilson. He's set them up loads of times. I think he's going to be getting a good relationship going. At Jamal Lewis, I really like him. I actually fancied him for Arsenal as a backup. I've already mentioned Jeff Hendrick. I think he's not nothing special, but I think he's exactly what they needed in the middle of the park. So I think they've actually had a good summer window. Who haven't I been to for a while? Melvin, let's go to you. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you think they've actually had a good window? And do you think Steve Bruce actually gets an unfair rep after the season they had last season?
Yeah, I mean, anyone that's trying to build a team with Newcastle is got their backs against the wall, isn't they? It's very struggle with the owner they've got, and also it's not just that; it's the uncertainty of who your owner will be in 6 months to a year. I think he's done a terrific job. I've always liked him. I'm not saying he's the greatest manager ever, but I think he gets the best out of what he's got. I think he seems an honest type of guy, though he came from Man United. I think he's slightly getting a little team together there with a couple of his own players. So I think they'll have a decent season. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a par. Jason, have you got any thoughts on Newcastle?
A shit club, but they'll still finish with 13th, 14th. Oh, they're so fucking titled again, and we're a massive club. You got one fucking FA Cup, but fuck off. You and Aaron, fuck off. He goes there. Oh, I'm going to win trophies. No, you're not. You're going fuck all. Roll going to win the cup final. Take care. I'm sorry, boys. But there's a lot of decent football fans out there.
I can't wait till we get to Spurs. That'd be hilarious.
Like I said, I'm going for that one. I'm going to bet for that one.
Oh, you'll miss out. Now, I completely forgot where they finished last season. Was it about 10th, wasn't it? No, 13th.
13th.
Just going to go. Who thinks that they are going to have a better season than last season and finish higher than 13th? I think they will. I think they'll get back, not much, but about 12th, 11th.
Yeah, I'll say 12th, yeah.
What was that? 2 was that? Did you?
I think they'll do better. They'll do better.
Yeah, fair play. Okay, right, let's move on quickly to Sheffield United. They've made that good signing, Ethan Ampadu, got him on loan from Chelsea. They've got Koulibaly, but unfortunately it's not that one. It's Ismaila Koulibaly. Oliver Burke from West Brom. Aaron Ramsdale, I don't rate him. I don't know what I went for him. It's just 80 million is an awful lot of money for that. I'm not overly, because I love it. I think that their manager is brilliant, and I think he might get poached by someone fairly soon with a bigger club. I can't see that they're going to have anywhere near as good a season as last season, unfortunately. Ryan, I'll go to you first, and I'll come to you, James. What do you think? I think they might be found out a little bit.
I was about to say, I've watched the first 2 league games. I watched them earlier. I know they'll get 10 men. I mean, they had 10 men against Villa today. But even last week, they look. I don't know. There's just lethargic. Like the excitement of being in Premier League club has gone out of the players. Now they need that hunger, that reignite them. And it just feels weird. And yeah, I didn't get why. Because obviously Henderson's gone back to United, and to go back to re-sign Ramsdale, who I don't rate Ramsdale myself. From what I've seen in it, obviously, I think they're going to be found out. I think they're going to be at bottom, about 13th. I think if they're lucky.
Yeah, James, what's your thoughts? Because I loved them last season, and they were brilliant, weren't they? But do you think they're going to have as good a season as they did, finishing 9th in the end?
No. I think they're going to be about 10th, but I think the level that they were last season was as well is that people in our league didn't really pay much attention to them, and they've been playing this way since they're in League One, I believe. So they've been a while to put them at this level for division, and I think it's just going to be too. I think now, like you said, people maybe somewhat figured them out a bit, but also I just don't think they can replicate that level again. I really don't. And another thing as well is that a big factor in what they did is that where they had the fans in when they were in, they gave them an extra 5 to 10% just because of the intimidating atmosphere. And where that's gone, I mean, if you look at it, when we had the cup game against them, when that was initially drawn, a lot of Arsenal fans were going, "Oh shit, like really, like going up to Sheffield United, oh my god!" But with the fans not there, and obviously we got the result on the day and everything else. So no, I think they've lost a bit of their edge, and also as well is I don't think they have really good options up front. I think they've got too many. I think they've got too many that are the same, and I think they need a player that plays behind the lines so they can sort of play balls through to him, because they've just got people who just head it. Do you know what I mean? They haven't got anyone. I mean, they've been linked with Balogun from us, which I would say if it's only a loan, do it, because that's a great move. Like I want our players to be playing in the Premier League to hurt other teams that are in the Premier League to help us. I don't know why
we're on about a £10 million fee for him.
Yeah, I think if we were to sell him, I'd be quite upset because I like the look of what this club can do. But if it's just a loan, I'm happy with that. I mean, I think we should be loaning more players. Like I said, I think we should be loaning more players in the Prem. I think it's all well and good sending boys to Gillingham and Swindon and everything else like we're doing. But if you look at Chelsea, they were loaning their players to sides in the Premier League to hurt, their indirect rivals, which I think we should be doing. I think we need to be a lot more clever in the transfer market than we have been. And I've said this for nearly 10 years now. I think Arsenal are really bad at selling players. And I think they have been for absolutely ages, apart from obviously the Iwobi deal last year, which I think we only got because Everton at the time had a manager that was a complete and utter dickhead.
Well, they were after someone else and all, weren't they? They couldn't get him. I can't remember who it was, but they ended up going.
It was
well, of course, yeah. And then they ended up panicking. They're going for Iwobi.
Yeah.
But let's have they finished 9th last season. Who thinks they will finish below 9th this season? Yeah, can't say any. Do you know what? I've got a horrible feeling that. Do you remember when Ipswich had that season? They came up and they finished 5th.
Yeah, the following season.
And their following season, they went down. I don't know. I really hope they don't go down, but I don't think they're going to have a very good season, personally.
I think I might be wrong, but in the early 60s, I think the 61-2 season, I think Ipswich came up. I think they won the league, and the next season went down. Something like that. It was 3 on the trot. It might have been over 4 seasons, but they definitely won the league and went down the next season. And I think they came up 1 or 2 seasons before.
Yeah. Well, it was George Burley, that was their manager when they came up or finished 5th, and he got manager of the season, didn't he? And then they got relegated. So I hope that don't happen, but I don't think they're going to have anywhere near as good a season. Southampton, they are struggling, I think, because they sold what's his name, Højbjerg, to them not down the road, and they haven't. I was listening to one of the podcasts from The Athletic today, and it was the Southampton correspondent, and they said that because they've not had a good start to the season, as we know, Southampton, and I think they've been a really good team at the end of last year, and they said the problem is they haven't replaced Højbjerg, and he did a really good job for them, and the person that's doing that job now is nowhere near the player that he was. So they haven't replaced him. They've only brought in Kyle Walker-Peters and someone called Mohamed Salisu from Real Valladolid. So they haven't had a good summer, and unless they do, it's going to be a struggle for them. I do rate their manager very highly, personally. Jason, have you seen much of Southampton? Have you got any thoughts at all? I like Hasenhüttl.
I think we podded last year together, and when they were going through a really tough time, I said to you then, I really like the guy. He's a good manager. He knows the game, and we agreed on that. And I think they're going to be they're going to have a similar season to last year. I think they're going to struggle to get into it. But I think Hasenhüttl will find solutions to their problems. Ward-Prowse is a great midfielder. Talk was solid pro. I love Ward-Prowse. I'd take Ward-Prowse at ours. I would, you know, because he does a little bit of everything. He's that. For us, he'd be a really good squad player. For them, he's a bit of a talisman. I think the Ings goals are going to be massive. I think that Arsenal can sort them out. They're not going to go down, and that's the best they can hope for, in my opinion.
They finished 11th last season. Do you think on this vote they will finish above 11th?
No.
I don't. I think he'll be. If they do, it'll only be about 10th. I don't think they'll get anything above that. But I do like the way they played at the end of last season, the way they were pressing, the way that Ings was scoring. They were quite exciting to watch. And we did really well to beat them away. That was quite an underrated result when we beat them 2-0 away. So, yeah, I think they'll be around similar. Brings us on to all or nothing. Well, obviously nothing. I can't even say their name. Middlesex, I'll call them. Brings us on to Middlesex. Now, they brought in Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Joe Hart, Matt Doherty, Sergio Reguilon, Gareth Bale. And I don't even know where to start really, but their manager is just he's a busted flush. And I don't think whoever they brought in, they are going to go anywhere under this guy because he causes arguments amongst all their players non-stop. He's toxic in the stadium, and he's just like the biggest pile of rotting turd in their Armitage Shanks arena. It's perfect for them, because it just looks like a big turd going down the bog. I mean, who wants to go first on this one? Go on. You go, Ryan. You go first.
Where do you want to start them? Like, bloody hell!
I mean, on paper, if they had a different manager, if they still had Pochettino with a front three of Son, Kane, and Bale, that's quite in anyone's language, that's actually a decent front three if he stays fit, Gareth Bale. But under Pochettino, under Maureen, I can't see him working. I mean, they had a good.
No. It's like you said, he comes in and he starts. He likes to make. He likes to stir the pot and calls shit with his own players. And this is something they didn't show in the actual documentary. The things like they've been Don Belly straight away, dropping him and then calling him out like not doing this and not doing that. I mean, the last game before lockdown, they played Burnley and literally half time hanked him off and slated him. So the result was all down to him that he didn't do this. It's like, and obviously we're now seeing he's trying to force out Dele Alli and things like that. Again, I don't rate Dele Alli myself. He had 2 good seasons and that's it. But it's just like, I don't really care about them. They're a club I don't really care about. They're just there for me. It's them. It's just, yeah, you're there. Okay. Oh, this is the thing about them not down the road, especially with their fans. Their ambition, and it's in the documentary as well, their main ambition is to finish above us. Not win a trophy, not compete, to finish above Arsenal. And for me, again, a mentality. It goes back to Henry when we won the league at their place, and obviously Jericho was jumping up and down, up 2-2 and all that. That's a mentality thing, and it's still to this day that mentality. And again, we're at our worst. We've been at our worst for the last 5 or 6 years, and we want to be competing. We're winning FA Cups. We're the most successful team in the FA Cup history now.
Well, we finished 8th, and we had a better season than them because we won. They're going to Lokomotiv Plovdiv and just about scraping past 9 Farmers.
And in the same season, they finished above it. Yeah, they finished above us in the end. And by the way, they celebrated 6th. Again, mentality. You're celebrating 6th. We celebrate winning trophies. But if they're celebrating 6th, that's just laughable. And then got that moaning Maureen going as an achievement with this team. And then in the same season, both managers or head coaches that were in charge at the start of last season were sacked around the same time. They went for with the experience of Mourinho, even though all the trouble that comes with him, and we've gone down this rookie route with Arteta, unproven, and we look the better team now. We look like we've gone for the experienced managers, and they've gone for the rookie.
There's no comparison.
Quick contrast. It's like
do you want to open up?
there's only one
Sorry,
way for
go
them.
on.
There's only one way for them, not, and that's that going down. I'll put them down for 10th with that in my predictions earlier on before the season started.
Who wants to go next? Who wants to go next?
I'll have a go. I'll have a little go. I think similar to Chelsea, but for a different reason. There's no room at that club for actually making any mistakes early on, because the manager's face is going to get longer. He's going to throw more and more players under the bus. More and more players aren't going to play for him, and we've seen it before. We'll see it again. They have got some decent players, but there's no doubt about that. But I still think they're lacking at the back. I think midfield, it's touch and go whether the midfield is good enough. But they can get through that, Spurs, if the forwards are firing, because they can play poor defensive game, Spurs, hang back, and you've got three very, very fast forwards that are direct and can score against any defence. So I think that possibly they can do okay, but I think the odds are well against them doing okay, because there's no room for failure there. The slightest bit of failure and the card has come tumbling down. So I see him 10th, Ryan, I really do.
Yeah, and under Mourinho as well, even though they bought Bailey, under Mourinho, there's no guarantee he'll get the Bell that left him or gone to Madrid or anything like that. If anything, he could digress under Mourinho. So the longer he's there, plus he's
Bale will have a good season. Bale will have a good season. Okay.
If he can stay fit, he's still a world class player.
I'm still world class. I'm not doubting.
No. He's had such a tough time with Zidane. Zidane just basically blanked him out. After that Champions League final goal he scored for him, he blanked him out. He'll be chomping at the bit. Unfortunately, it's breaking my heart to watch him go back there. You know, Sorry, go on now.
Sorry. I think it's a catch-22 with Bale, because I think the better Bale plays, though it's better for Spurs and the manager will be happy, he won't be happy. He likes to be the main talking point, the manager. And I think a little bit of that will be he wants to be the number one. And if Bale does it all singing, all dancing, and does the ability, no doubt, that he's got, and he does it, I think the bit of resentment will show in the manager, and he'll do something stupid, Mourinho, to the team to balance it out, because he's got to be the number one talking point. He's got to be the
moment. I think you add into that as well. Harry Kane likes to be number one as well. I know he plays the lovely guy, okay, but when you're the main man at a club, but I know you become used to that, and I don't, shine the light on me time. They're going to be an interesting watch this season there, because Lo Celso and Ndombele, they come off poor seasons last year. How are they going to play this season? Harry Winks, I don't think Harry Winks is the worst player in the world, but he's a ball recycler. Højbjerg will add a bit of steel to them. But like you say, you've lost who's the boy? Vertonghen, thank you. Vertonghen, that's right.
Sorry.
You've lost Vertonghen. Sanchez, he's pacey, but he's not a great defender.
No, he's useless.
You run at those fuckers. They don't like to turn. No defenders do they? Nobody does. But I think it's going to be a very interesting watch this season. And as much as I think they could do well at times, I think they could crumble very, very easily.
I think that the very first goal that Bale scores, Mourinho will just claim credit for it and saying that he's the one that's turned his career around. That's what will happen. Yeah, he will say it's all down to him. Oh, he's like my son. He come up with all this bullshit. I blame the COVID-19 on Jose Mourinho, because I think he's just, I think he's down. It's all down to him. But what's your thoughts, James, on Middlesex?
Yeah, it's very, like you've said, it's interesting. It can go one or two ways, because with that man in charge, it always ends up in tears. And for all of what Gareth Bale, I think, is still a relatively good signing, it's an emotional signing purely by their owner. I mean, I'm looking at this going, right, okay, and I already think you're scumbags to begin with, but I'm like, you've charged 165 million to the government to use your stadium as a think tank,
Which again,
and yet you're paying.
Sorry.
You're paying.
Which again, they failed to mention in that sort of documentary. That never happened. We didn't go to the government for anything. We didn't charge them. We didn't do this.
Yeah.
Scum club. Scum.
Yeah. This is a club that's obsessed with headlines. Okay, Jose, this Amazon documentary. I believe the next Anthony Joshua fight is at this stadium. They have NFL at this stadium. They have concerts at this stadium. It's all about making this area and this, Tottenham brand a big thing. And I'm like, the thing that makes you a big brand is winning on a football pitch, not what all the exterior crap that you've got going around is. And for me, I look at it as well. And if I'm a Tottenham player that's been there since Pochettino was there, and I've grafted my arse off and played really well, and all of a sudden this guy's coming in who I know he's a world-class player, but let's bet how many games did he play last season, the season before that? And he's on 220 grand a week whilst I'm grafting out here every week and I'm barely paid anything. They can either push and get into the top four, or like you've said, they're going to be about 10th, or they're just going to slide. And either way, it could be entertaining. I mean, their next 3 games are absolutely massive. They got Newcastle, who on their day could turn them over. I believe after that they got Man United, and then after that they got West Ham. If they don't get 7 to 9 points out of them 3, people are going to be on Jose even with the signing of Bale. I mean, especially if they lose to West Ham, because for all they talk about our rivals, West Ham take scalping them huge. West Ham love beating.
West Ham always do well against Middlesex, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat them last season.
And the thing is, like you say, as much as I love Gareth Bale as a Welshman, right, 600 grand a week he's on. Right? He's on 600 grand a week, and they'll be misrepresenting. Tell you, Spurs will be misrepresenting how much they're paying. Right? But like you say, it's an emotional signing, not a thoughtful one. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't pay Gareth Bale 600 grand a week. I wouldn't. Okay, he's what, 29 now. Do you know?
31. 31.
No, he's not. I don't think he's 31 yet.
He's 31. Yeah.
You sure?
I'll look it up.
I'm pretty sure he's not. My point being, he's just had a great 7 years at no matter how badly it's ended. It's 4 Champions Leagues, 2
He's 31.
He's 31 now, is he? Jesus.
In July, he was 31.
Christ, that's flown by. But if he goes down injured, look how much of their budget is sucked out by him. I just find it very strange. I find it for him, it's a great signing. It's a great move for him. But for them, there's better ways of spending your money.
He's gone there because I bet the Wales Ryan Giggs has probably told him you have to go start playing somewhere because we've got the Euros coming up, and he just wants to play football now because of next summer, I should imagine. And the fair play to him for doing that, but his injury record isn't great, is it? You have to face it. But I still think he's a world-class player on his day. But
you look at his record, okay? You look at his trophy cabinet.
Oh, exactly. You can't argue with it. You can't argue with the quality of the player. But the thing is, they cannot afford to sack Jose Mourinho. They can't. They would have to pay an absolute what's he on? About 18 million a year or something ridiculous, isn't he? And he's got a few years left on his contract. They'll have to pay out, and his staff are some of the most expensive staff that you can get out there in world football as well. It will cost them probably, I don't know how many millions of pounds.
They couldn't afford it. Andrew, that are looking at it going, if we finish 6th, 7th, or 8th, but we go balls out for the Europa League, I think that's what. Do you know what I mean? It would not. I mean, I don't want it to happen because I would hate that game with a passion. But Gdansk next year could be Arsenal Spurs Europa League final.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It
Can
could
you imagine?
easily happen, and I'll be all over the place if I watch that game. I don't know. I'll have to.
I know.
I'll have to watch it in a padded cell or something.
I'd have to book a flight actually, just to be on a plane when it's happening.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those where if our first ever major European trophy would be beating Spurs. Oh my God, it's going to be the best day of my life. But if we lose to that fucker and that team in that final, we'll never hit the end of it.
No.
But it's not worth the risk. It's not worth the risk, honestly. No. My emotions won't. Not worth the risk. Sorry.
No, exactly. I couldn't cope. I don't think, with that. That'd just be too much. Right. Anyway.
If they go further and further into the Europa League, you got to hope that FC Kunstlosch or whoever they end up against will knock them out.
Do you know what? If they win on Thursday, I can't remember who they're playing. Yeah, like you said, FC Windscreen or something like that. Because they're playing tomorrow, then they're playing Thursday, then they're playing Sunday, then they play next week will be exactly the same. It'll be Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday again as well. Absolutely hilarious. And we put them in that position, so we should be very proud of ourselves. Anyway, so they finished 6th. Who thinks they're going to finish below 6th this season? Show of hands, all of us.
I was the first one. I had my hand up, Andrew. Do I win a prize?
Yeah, you got my eternal love and pride. You didn't put your hand up? You think they're going to finish 6th or above, James?
I think they're going to finish exactly the same. Yeah, 6th place.
Okay.
I think they're going to finish slower. I'm
thinking 8th, 9th personally, but anyway, West Bromwich Albion. The biggest signing is like 72-year-old Branislav Ivanovic. Apart from that guy they brought in from West Ham, which has caused rioting in the streets of West Ham. That Grady Diangana. He looks like a promising player. But
riots in the streets of Stratford, you mean, not West Ham?
Yes, I know. I was being sarcastic, but
sorry about that.
I know. Branislav Ivanovic, 70. He's got to be 72 if he's a day. I mean, he's probably got 2 new hips and kneecaps or something, but I can't see anything other than straight back down. Can you guys?
No. Listen.
Yeah, sorry.
I
mean, they've still got Kieran Gibbs at left back.
I think Slaven Bilic is a good manager, and I actually think he's a nice guy. But yeah, no, they're going straight back down.
Yeah. I think he's a better pundit than a manager, personally. He got them up last season, and fair play. That's great, but I think the Premier League's a bit too beyond. He's never done very well in the Premier League managing, is he? Against real top quality.
He started off well with West Ham. To give me due.
Yeah. To be fair,
5th or 6th you got, yeah.
They did really well that year.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That was just carrying him through, weren't it?
Since then.
Yeah, and the problem is, if you've got 4 squads to manage, more often than not, just spend dictates where you finish.
Yeah.
And, West Ham have hardly been run well. The move has absolutely killed them. Going to Stratford, as you said. I think.
Well, let's move on to West Ham now, because they're the next team. Whilst you're on that subject, Jason, carry on with West Ham.
I think Moyes a good manager. I think he gets a lot of stick and undeservedly. But there's obviously uproar with them selling players that the players don't want to move on. But I think you saw against us what they can do when the manager inspires them and motivates them. I think they'll stay up. I think it'll be a tight run thing, but I think there are worse teams in the league than them.
Yeah. I've tipped them to go down. But I am slightly revising that. I'm thinking whether they will just maybe escape because I just think the internal problems that they've got are bigger than we even know. Because I heard that Karen Brady, has actually had an argument with Moyes and said that, well, you're going to go by the end of the season, if not before anyway. And and you've got their captain who's been with the club for 20 years, going ballistic on social media about that selling Grady, and everyone supporting him, and it's just an absolute shit show there. And obviously the fans hate the owners. They hate the fact they've moved to that stadium, and I don't know. It's just a whole shit show there, really. And if they do escape, they will have to keep David Moyes for the season, because he's the only way they are going to escape, because he is a decent coach at the end of the day. So we'll have to see. But to be fair, I feel a bit sorry for the West Ham fans. But
he was absolutely awful on Saturday.
Yeah,
You say he's a good coach. He was dreadful. The substitutions, like, I'm looking at it and I'm going, well, surely they're going to bring Anderson and Haller on, and they brought him on with a minute to go. I'm like, what are they going to do in a minute? Like, he's had his time. He's one of these that have been in the Premier League a bit too long now, and he's got to go. I look at it and think, if they don't, I think he'll have a bit more time. But if they lose that Spurs game and they lose it like Southampton lost the week, if West Ham get pumped by about 4 or 5 goals by Spurs, he's out of a job, and you'll have Eddie Howe at West Ham in no time.
Yeah, I don't know whether. I mean, how's he going to motivate himself when he's already been told he's going to get sacked at the next available opportunity?
Well, there you go. I mean,
ridiculous.
I think they threatened to sack him. The rumor was that they threatened, and the players said, "If you do that, we're striking, and we're not playing at the first game of the season."
It just shows you.
Yeah.
Karen Brady's a clueless fuck. She is. I tell you, some of the stories about her are fucking banging.
Yes, something I've heard as well.
She's apparently a gooner. She's apparently an Arsenal fan, and I don't want her anywhere near. I don't want her related to the club in any way, shape, or form. I hate the woman. Absolutely hate the woman.
It's
vile.
They went to Wilshere and they said, "Oh, we're cancelling your contract." He went, "Great." Now, there's a guy that could have easily have been like, "No, I can scam more money out." And he's like, "No, great, I'll lose."
Absolutely, no, that he's run stuff, isn't he? He's run stuff.
I don't want to be in this shit. I'll either be a free agent or I'll find somewhere else.
I'd have Wilshere back on a pay-as-you-play deal, so he's got no salary unless he plays. But I'd still have him back at the club. I love Jack Wilshere any day of the week. But as long as we didn't pay him a massive salary, I'd be happy with that. And he can coach the kids at the same time, try and get him into the coaching side of the team. But are we all agreed that they'll just about survive by the skin of their teeth, West Ham?
Yeah, I've done 17.
Yeah, I'll probably agree with that. But I think they'll be quite lucky. Now we're on to the last one, which is Wolves. Now, you can't. The thing is, they're like the mini Man City, which is a shame. But they've got so much financial backing, but you can't deny that they're a really good team to watch. They've got a good manager, they've got good players, and they're going to have another good season. But the way they've done it is not exactly organic, is it? But who haven't I been to for a while? Melvin, let's go to you first. On Wolves, they've got a good squad, haven't they? And a good manager.
They've got a very good manager, and he's just built up the squad very nicely. I don't think that he's made too many mistakes in the market since he's been there. He seems to improve all the players, and you get to a point when a new player comes in, within a few weeks you forget he's a new player. It's just one of the squad, and they've got that centre half. I can't remember his name, the English guy, Liverpool.
Oh, Cody.
Cody. Who's any team would have him. Big, strong, he's intelligent, and as you say, he's one of the positions in your team you want to get right, and they have got it right.
Well,
I'm surprised they told right back to Spurs, but
obviously that's a weird one. Why? That's a really strange.
but the manager probably knows a little bit more than we do about Wolves. So, I mean, I'm surprised. I'm not, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm surprised. But yeah, I think they're a terrific club. I mean, I went there. I've been there a couple of times the last few seasons. I've gone to watch Wolves. Got some friends there, and it's a great atmosphere there. Even I saw them in the lower division. Fabulous. Nice little ground.
They're a good
ground, good support, great atmosphere. And they're a lovely club.
It's one of my favourite grounds. One of my favourite grounds to go to, Molyneux. It's a great day there. Yeah, Jason, what's your thoughts there? Because they've released quite a lot of players as well, and I can't quite get my head around the Doherty selling him, because he had a really good season last year, and they only got what, 15 million, something like that.
Yeah.
They'll have a plan behind it. I agree with Melvin. I think they're a well-run club. I know they got financial backing and what have you, but they got a good manager. They got a good squad of players. They got a nice spine up there. Jimenez, nice goal tonight. They're just, and we've all got Wolves fans as mates. Do you know what I mean? And they're all good fans. They are. None of this scum, the Northwesterners. You know what I mean? They're Midlanders. They love their football. When you hear High Horse Silver Lining banging out at Molyneux, it's a great.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
And it's I think they'll do well this season, but I think they're a 7th or 8th place side at the moment, and them and Leicester are in that little niche of just below the top 6. I look forward to watching them play. I think that's the biggest compliment I can give them. I look forward to watching them play, and I fucking hate every other football team apart from the Arsenal. Okay? Yeah. I like the Swans because they're local sides to me, okay? I fucking hate everybody else. I can't stand them, But Wolves, I don't detest them quite as much as I detest everyone else. They're all right. They're all right.
Jason, we get on, don't we, mate? We get on, don't we?
You're a top man, Melvin. You're top man. Very much, right. I'm not being funny. You're interesting. You know your shit, and I like listening to you.
Do you know what? I love their new kit as well. Wolves. I think it looks mint. Really. Alongside the Southampton kit as well. I absolutely love that one as well. That's wicked. But yeah, I do like that new Wolves shirt. Got the black sleeves and Adidas one. Anyway, have a look.
The home one, I thought you were talking about. They've got a new kit that they've released, which is
a third kit.
It's a Portugal shirt. It's.
Oh really? I haven't seen that one.
Oh, clever.
Isn't
it? With the Wolves logo on it.
Yeah, I'm talking about the new home one. It looks good. Anyway,
try and find it for you once.
I've completely forgotten where they finished. It was 7th, wasn't it? Yeah, it was 7th.
Yeah, exactly.
But hard. I mean, do you think they're going to finish above 7th?
No, exactly the same place.
Yeah, I probably agree with that.
I think it'd be pretty much bang on. Yeah, exactly the same as well. Yeah. So interesting. Now, I'm just going to go really, because I know we've been on for ages, and I do really, I've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, look at the time.
I know, exactly.
I thought I was looking at a different country's time zone, but it's ours, isn't it? Bloody hell, what's going on here?
I know, I can't, but time has flown, hasn't it? The time has absolutely flown.
Oh my God.
Right, I'm going to go around just really quickly, each one of you, just give us your top 4 and your bottom 3. I'll go clockwise. So Melvin first.
Top 4, Liverpool, Man City, sorry, I don't know. Oh, bloody hell, who's it going to be? I don't know the third, can't think, and we come 4th. Bottom 3, Fulham, West Brom, and I think Brighton. It's probably against the grain, yeah.
Okay, James. If you're doing obviously the order that you think they're going to finish in as well.
Well, we're going to finish 4th, and that's all I care about the top 4. Fuck them.
Who's going down?
Burnley, West Brom, and Fulham.
Yeah, Burnley's probably better than Brighton, actually. That's a better call for me.
Burnley's, yeah,
Sorry.
anything.
I'm allowed to change Burnley, sorry.
No, you're not allowed to change. You just
Oh, bloody hell. Slander.
Ryan, what's your top 4, bottom 3?
Top 4 is going to be City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and fourth. I don't know. I can't think of one. I don't think United will. I don't think Tottenham will. I think maybe Everton could sneak it. That sort of surprise package. You always get that one team that you don't expect to be compete for top 4 that does. And it's been a long time since they've done that as well. And also they've got it all depends on obviously things working out with the midfield and things consistently going. But yeah, I can't see Chelsea because, as I said, Chelsea they've bought these signs, not had time to gel. It is what it is. They're going to finish 5th if they're lucky. United are United. It's a car crash waiting to happen. Like Tottenham, I've said the Tottenham finishes 10th anyway. Bottom 3, Fulham, West Brom, the easy ones. I'm going to go for a surprise one in Palace.
Palace, really? That's a bit of a surprise. What about you, James?
Yeah, I done my video on my channel, so if I change it, I look like I've just made my video for no reason. So, top of the league, Man City first, Liverpool second, Chelsea third, United 4th. And then bottom, I've done West Brom, Fulham, and Aston Villa, but I regret that bottom now because I would probably swap Aston Villa for either West Ham or potentially Palace as well, depending on what they do sales wise.
Yeah.
Interesting that you've got Palace. I wouldn't have thought that. But I've gone
Villa, I think I'm going to regret that now, considering Martinez and he's having a blinder. And
exactly. I've changed my mind because I did definitely have Man City to win the league, but I think that the strengthening that Liverpool have done is significant actually, because it's going to raise everyone else's standards in that midfield, in that team even more. Now they brought that Thiago in, and I think Jota's a really good signing. I think that's a big loss for Wolves actually. So I'm going to go Liverpool, Man City, then Arsenal, and then I think Chelsea, because I don't think Frank Lampard will last. So I think they'll get someone else in and make that team click a little bit more. Bottom 3, I'm going to go for bottom Fulham actually, then West Brom, then I'm going to go West Ham as a cheeky outside bet to go down because of the just the absolute rotting inside of that club. It's rotting.
You've gone for the 3 West to go down, haven't you, Andrew?
Yeah, funnily enough, but that's not intentional. But
West Brom, West Ham, and West London.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I can't see West Ham. If they keep the manager, they may just about squeak it out. But yeah, I can't see it. But yeah, that's about it then. Massive marathon show. Thanks ever so much, guys. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you have too. And I want to thank everyone for watching as well. I'm going to go Russ, Harry, Thunder Road. Let's go through Winston, obviously Stan.
Stan the man.
Russ. Yeah, exactly. Brian, 10. Sorry if I've missed anyone. Jason Davies, he's a great. I really thank him for watching.
Massive.
If I've missed anyone, I do apologise. I've got a really long chat thing to scroll through, but thanks. Melvin, thanks so much. Where can people find you on social media quickly?
Just on Twitter, as it says, Melvin. The only way is Arsenal Marks. Facebook, just Melvin Marks, but mainly on Twitter. And thanks again, Andrew.
Right, well, we do the audio version.
The first 5 hours I really enjoyed.
And Jason, it's great to have you on. Great to have you back on the podcast. Where can people find you? If you want them to find you at all, that's obviously.
Don't bother. It's been a pleasure talking to you, lads. First time chatting to Melvin and James. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much for having me on. The rest of you fuckers, I know you too well now. You know,
I really, really hope you come on again soon, mate. I really do. You make me smile. It's funny. It's fantastic. Ryan,
fucking leave
I don't
that.
know. The more you're in this mood, the more it makes me happy. So keep at it. Ryan, where can people find you? Obviously, Mr. Arsenal podcast. I highly recommend it, of course.
Obviously, on social media, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Arsenal89. I've set up a Facebook page as well recently. That's the Mr. Arsenal podcast, which I link to my channel. So I'm streaming off both. And as you said, my channel, the Mr. Arsenal podcast. And my next stream is on Wednesday for the Leicester game. Assuming that goes ahead. Touchwood.
Don't keep saying that. Just stop saying that, please.
Look at the government we work with. Look at the government that run our country. That's all I'm saying.
I know, but I blame Jose Mourinho, like I said. And James, how can people find you, mate? You've got your own YouTube channel as well, which is I can't recommend your podcast highly enough. The Purely Arsenal podcast is fantastic. Listen, really is.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, very good.
So yeah, obviously in the name LL Core James 91. That's my Twitter. If you want to listen to me chat more shit than I've chatted on here, and then if you want double down and go on my YouTube channel, which is obviously James Johnston and then football. That's it. That's me and my friend Tom on there. We do Premier League, and then we also do an Arsenal show on that as well. And then, like you said, Purely Arsenal FP on Twitter, the podcast. I am literally, I don't know why they have me on there. I think I'm on there just.
Don't be stupid. No. You're brilliant on there. You're brilliant on there, James.
They're world class. I think they've gone. Look, we need a comic relief. James, you can slot in. You slot in that number 10 jokes role, and then.
I can't say I can't remember exactly how it goes, but you said that joke about what the fat player, and if he tied his shoelaces, do you remember that one? What's the anecdote?
He was so fat he was nearly giving himself tit wanks when he clipped his toenails. That was
it. That's it. That's the sort of delight you get when you listen to the Purely Arsenal podcast from James.
Yeah. I pluck a stat out here and there and something. I've got I keep my eyes on the old statistics here and there, but no, I'm I can't recommend how great the guys have been to me. Literally, I did a lot of podcasts beforehand. Somehow, it all faded away, and I've been off, some Arsenal's types of podcasts for nearly about a year and a half, and they've welcomed me back in, and the responses we've got from everybody, I mean, including all of you that are here, has been great. So yeah, I can't say thank you enough.
No, that's great.
It's been really kind.
Yourself, James, obviously, which is you, Neil, Jack, they're all good, all great. And what's the other guy? I can't believe it's gone out of my head. There's another one, isn't there?
Michael. You got
Michael,
and
that's
Mark,
it.
Anthony. Yeah, this is good. We got
there.
We got really
good. Anyway, so get subscribing to that as well. But thanks ever so much for everyone watching and listening. If you're listening back on Spotify, but please, everyone, before you go, give us a like. It really helps, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. I know I shouldn't be. I don't like asking all this sort of bollocks, but it does help and help spread the word and get more viewers on the channel. Thanks very much again, and all the best.
Oh, just going to get a touch of breakfast now, Andrew. All right.